But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory. Hello everybody and welcome back. It's time for more CVRcade World Cup Racing. As always, my name is CVRcade, and for the next 2.5 hours I will be guiding you through all the action as it unfolds live out on the tracks of CVRcade. Many of you probably still recovering from Saturday's fantastic festival of racing that was the CVRcade World Cup Bracketed Session Tournament finale, but now we get ready for the grand finale. The grand finale that begins this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We'll find out who will be racing for $5,000. So the $25,000 prize purse tournament or competition, World Cup, whatever you want to call it, is now coming towards an end. So this is the final week of the racing. We've been on a journey and now here we stand. Tuesday and Thursday this week will be used as practice racing. So the 4 races we'll see today and the 4 races we'll see on Thursday will be used on Saturday in the quarterfinals to find out who will get direct qualifications into the semifinals and who will take a trip down into the lower brackets to then fight their way back up. I can't wait for the racing. We've got 4 great races today. Electric Rush up first, Echelon, Lakeview Lanes, and Fantastic Alien Sea. Now, I was originally going to go to Timothy because I think the amount of people, I see he's coming back onto the bike, the amount of people that have reached out to me and asked me specifically, because they didn't have a direct contact with Timothy, to see if he was okay. Timothy, you made quite a stir on Saturday. You made quite the waves. Everybody has reached out. I mean, how have you recovered from Saturday's racing?
Recovered. Yeah, just take it easy. It's a new day, new racing. This is the big finals. So we're just getting some practice in here. See how it goes Saturday.
Now today you've got Electric Rush, you got Echelon, Lakeview Lanes, Fantastic Alien Sea. These exact set of races will be prevalent again on Saturday. What does it mean you get to practice it with all these racers? Does it help you? Do you like it? Or do you feel like for you who may do your homework anyway, it's potentially a disadvantage?
I wouldn't call it a disadvantage. It's just more of an advantage for other people who don't do that. But no, it's not a disadvantage. It's still good practice because you can do your homework and everything. But in a racing dynamics, it's a lot different. So yeah, I really like this format that we get to practice these for the quarterfinal. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you get back to it, Timothy. Thank you for your time. Final words before the racing begins. 3rd place on Saturday, taking home $1,000. Casey Shum, have you put that $1,000 to good use yet?
Yeah, we're gonna have a good Christmas. Yeah, it just makes the holidays a little easier at home, and come back and hit it again. So, yeah.
How did the family react when you got off the bike and you got upstairs? You're like, "Hey guys, I just won $1,000."
Yeah, I mean, they were excited. It took me a few minutes to kind of get over being bummed I didn't perform better, but yeah, I mean, super grateful. It's exciting, and yeah, like I said, it just eases a little bit of the holiday financial pressure a little bit. So all in all, yeah, really good day, really good weekend, and we're going to come back and see if we can do it again.
Can't wait to see it all once more next week, and good luck in the racing today, Casey, and thank you for your time. Joining me in the commentary booth today, as always, we have the game's creator, the person who probably loves watching the racing the most out of everybody, Frank. Welcome back into the booth. I know you had a long stint on Saturday. Have you recovered?
I think I recovered late last night when I was finally sort of through all the energy we spent watching. So, I know the writers spent more energy, but sometimes it's interesting just to sit there and see how it happens.
Now we're on Electric Rush. It's the no skill event. Everybody is out here. When I was making the rounds here, Frank, a lot of the riders were like, I'm not sure whether to race hard today or whatnot, but I'm definitely going to be racing for testing it out. But for many, they're like, I want to go hard, but I'm thinking about next weekend.
Yeah, I think probably going a little, going pretty hard today is a good idea. Thursday, I think will be really interesting. I think it might be the most tactical racing we've ever seen on Cade because nobody is going to want to, just pour themselves all in on Thursday for sure.
I can't wait to see that, to see the battle of maybe I want to win this. I really badly want to win this, but I also don't want to empty the tank ahead of the weekend. But here we go. You see Carl Axel Sander. The broadcast today, as you've already seen a bit as we move from racer to racer, it's actually got a bit of a theme tonight. We've got 4 Velocity Vixen team members on the broadcast today. Vibeke Bertram, Ryan Goldenberg, Beth York, and Carl Axel Sander. It'll be fun to see if we get some teamwork off the front here today. Joining us also, you heard in the pre-race interview, Timothy Tamont, Team Cycling Hub. All thumbs up from him as we've now got 1 lap remaining. And Casey Shum, 3rd place here over the weekend in the tournament. What can he do today? 200 meters remain. Electric Rush. Here you go. Off the front is Quinton Molyneux. You see Casey Shum trying to go with him. 100 meters remain. It's Peter versus Quinton versus Timothy. And it will be Quinton Molyneux ahead of Peter with Timothy and Carl following over the line with Casey in 4th. Frank, they don't get any easier and they just seem to get more and more contested at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, kudos to Quentin there. I think he wants to sort of stamp his authority on, what's going to be happening this weekend, sort of get into people's head. I think that's a good thing to do on Tuesday, show that you've got form. And then people have to wonder, wow, is he really on it for this weekend?
Now, I reached out to Quinton, but he did decline to be on stream today. He'd rather race on his own, which I can understand after everything that happened this weekend. Peter is also out with a sickness, and seeing him say that and then come second in the racing, I'm not sure Peter's taken a trick out of the playbook of Sebastian Kuhn. 3rd is Timothy, 4th is Casey, but I would like if Carl Axel Sander has the headphones on. He does. Carl, you were unfortunately one of the racers who got to sit out Saturday, but what was it like to sit on the sidelines and watch the racing?
Oh, no, it was not funny. I watched the whole thing and I was jealous all the time not to be there. So I'm not going to miss out next weekend.
That's the spirit. I mean, you were just off by 1 spot. You were the first substitute after Luis Sober and Nice. But now this weekend you get to race again. Did you pick anything up from watching the long 7-hour broadcast?
Oh yeah, I did. It's a different game. I've only raced before the at least 10 other riders. Now we were only 3 other riders, and and I learned from my mistakes there. In my Omnium there I had Sebastian that was took all the points, and I was battling it out with Jonathan Duron, and and I forgot that I had to watch him, and when he attacked I had to follow, and I couldn't rely on Sebastian pulling anything. So this kind of few rider Omnium tactics that I had to learn the hard way, but I'm coming back stronger for the next week.
Oh, that's what we like to hear, Carl. I can't wait to see what you bring today and the Velocity Vixens. Speaking of which, we've got Beth York also joining us into the broadcast today. She is rocking that jersey. One of a kind. You can get it in the hardware store. Beth, you also had the pleasure of both watching the broadcast on Saturday and commentating it. I mean, is it strange to be back on the bike again and now we look to do it all again?
Oh, it feels really good. Like I had this like I wanted to race so bad because it was so amazing to see what people were doing. So right now, having fun, getting those twitchy fingers back, right, where I had like a couple days off of racing. So it's a good come in here and practice, but I am really looking forward to this weekend racing with 8 Up. It's going to be a whole new thing.
How do you think that's going to change up? Doubling the amount of riders in an Omnium, how do you think that will affect it?
Well, I think we'll probably see more team play, where it's not just the people on the front going for one through 4 of the positions. So they'll have some teammates to help them out. So we might see more blocking, some more defense, as I like to call it. So, so I think the dynamics will be a little bit different. And I think that, I don't know how it's going to be with what races, but with these races here, it's nice to have a chance to practice to see what you can bring to the race. So today's all about having fun, experimenting with some stuff, and seeing how it's going to go.
Thank you, Beth. Now, Frank, I do love Beth's point about today is about having fun, because Saturday was quite high pressure. I mean, we obviously saw Dark Matter Vela. We have seen several other riders. It's kind of strange being back, and everyone, they just seem very happy. They seem very relaxed. It's so different from what we saw last weekend.
Absolutely. So I think, a lot less pressure. I don't know if it's, relaxed here. I think everybody wants to see that they can perform well. And so I'm not sure relaxed is the right term, but certainly a lot less pressure. I think that everybody had fun on Saturday as well, but, certainly a different vibe, a lot of tenseness, a lot of anxiety that you're not going to have today, right? I mean, you're in on Saturday, right? So this is just practice and maybe get into the mind of your competitors and see how it goes. You've got to push it because if you're too relaxed here, you're not going to learn all the stuff that you want to learn for the weekend.
That is very true. Now, the second event here, the second race of the day is on Echelon. Now, I was looking at this like, well, it's not a low skill event. They caught me off guard. It is a medium skill event here, and it's got a 14-kilometer-an-hour wind, Frank. I mean, this is a tough race with a very tough wind, and if you get guttered here early on, it's game over on Echelon.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and you see nobody really going out to the far side here to provide a lot of shelter for somebody else. And so you see sort of this two-up racing. But if you are stuck sort of in the back without someone to your right, you're suffering here.
You are, and we are seeing a bit of teamwork on the front. Timothy and Quinton. Timothy offering a bit of sheltering here for Quinton, I think, on the right as they come on through. They come up to the pressure point, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone has kept an eye on the power-ups available and knows that you don't have uncrashable. You will slide out if you don't slow down. Allison bumping the wheels. She gets on through. We look further down. Everybody safely through the corner, and it's going to be interesting to see how the racing evolves, Frank, because we've got a test run today as Nigel crashes. But do you think come Saturday, Sunday, it'll be a replica of what we see here on Tuesday and Thursday? Or do you think riders are going to look to change it up?
I think they'll change it up to some degree. And so we'll kind of see what happens, I think.
I'm not sure did you see what I just saw here with the game?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's happened to everybody. I see Timothy is still rocking out on course, so he's still feeling it. So we'll try and get back into the racing if possible. Ooh.
Yeah, that was interesting. My screen blipped out too. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on at the moment.
Well, this is kind of fun, though, because on Saturday, we had a 7-hour broadcast with not a single technical hiccup. Now, today, we have a little after-season friendly after the bracketed session finale has come there. Now, we're in the grand finale, so we do have a technical difficulty here, but the racing still continues. I can see a few riders still racing. I see Timothy still rocking, Ryan, Casey. I'm seeing, so it may just be limited to a few individuals. So we will keep you updated on the racing. Now, today does not count towards the points ranking. So throughout the bracketed session, every race has just had increased importance on racing. And today, it's just a come out, test the course, get a feel for it. And that's really what matters here. So it's not the end of the world. Unfortunately, we are missing out on some great racing. We have a great support team here helping us out, trying to figure out what exactly just happened. But I can see the racers still continue. Now, if we are able to, I'd like to see if we can get a word with one of the racers. We have Timothy in here. Timothy, are you able to tell us what's happening in the racing?
No. So the riders list is just me, and the riders on screen, they're going crazy fast. So I don't think they're like keeping a steady pace, because Casey just bombed that first corner at like 45 and didn't slide out once. So I think that must be some kind of glitch. We're just gonna keep it going. It might come
Timothy.
back.
I do recommend that everybody keeps on riding, because it may come back at the end of it. So make sure to keep on riding as the support team looks into it. But I mean, it's probably a good time to reflect on some of the things that we did see over the weekend, because we do it all again next weekend. And in my career of being a broadcaster in virtual cycling and seeing racing like this Saturday and Sunday, the amount of fun that was mainly due to the Mixer chat, the viewers, we had about 700 viewers, the racers were engaged. It was amazing to watch it, and I think we've learned a lot from that racing, and now come again this weekend, we look to do it once more. And with all the learnings the organizing team has taken from it, all the learning the racers take from having done it, because this was the inaugural test. I mean, this was the first time that you took the races on the platform and said, right, here's a pool. We're not quite sure how deep this pool is, but we're going to throw you out there, and you're just going to keep waddling until you don't feel your feet touching the ground. But unfortunately, luckily, everybody can swim. Everybody brought the little paddle boards and little swim, whatever those things are called, and it was a lot of fun. And I think this coming weekend, we're going to see a bit of surfing. We're going to see some great stuff from the races. And don't forget, somebody's going to win $5,000. You heard to Casey what he said, $1,000. It helped a ton for the Christmas pressure. Imagine what $5,000 could do. I mean, start 2020, start the new decade off in the right way. So, I do believe you may have an update, Frank?
Yeah, I think I'm going to force start the support team's going to force start the next event. See if we can see what happens with that, and we may need everyone to sort of rejoin that event. They should have 5 minutes now to join that event. Should pop up on their screen. So what you want to do is just sort of click on event to join and join it now. I've got my racers back. Give me just a second. So.
I know, the second you did that, they all popped right back up on my feed, but now they seem to have slowed down. Now, the next race is running on Lakeview Lanes, and I can see Beth, I can see Allison coming in, so those racers are getting ready. But from what I can see, the wind on this upcoming Saturday is gonna be crazy. 14 kilometers an hour wind on Echelon, 11 kilometers an hour on Lakeview Lanes. This is not exactly going to be easy, but if you're listening to the broadcast, and if you are a racer, make sure to click at the top where it says join the next event, get in the next event, and get racing. Now, this today is all about testing out the tracks, getting a feel for the races ahead of this Saturday's quarterfinals. So don't worry about it if you don't get the maximum points. I understand everybody's racing, but the next race will begin in 3 minutes and 45 seconds time.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Again, all riders click the event button at the top to move to the next event. But I thought what was interesting is that was actually shaping up to be a really good race. So I think along with everybody else, I'm disappointed that we didn't get to finish that one. We'll get to see that one in the next zone. Maybe all the racers here will sort of stick around to try that one, because I think you want practice on that event. You know, one of the things I learned this Saturday was, you know, how different the dynamics could be as the event organizer team over here is, you know, really changing some things up in how we approach the events for the, you know, for these final sessions. And so, you know, very, very interested to see how that develops.
We saw that on Dark Matter Tech. I mean, if you came into that race blind and you assumed, oh, Racer's Edge will just make it a tiny bit quicker, you could not be any more wrong, because that race got so technical, arguably throughout every single race of the day. The 9 tracks that we raced on with different abilities, that race was the most technical. And some people knew it. You heard Sebastian spent 3 hours on it. Nigel spent an hour on it. And that's where understanding the wind, because Frank, the wind is so unique to CVRcade. Like, understanding the wind is not exactly something you just do. You got to get a feel for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw that here, right? You saw some, people maybe getting separated, everybody sort of guttering, only supplying shelter for their team. And the echelons can really give you a benefit in the draft on the crosswinds. And so, that's something that people are going to want to learn on that track. And also guttering. I know that, guttering is one of those things that Casey is not fond of, shall we say, and so, can get under his skin a little bit. And so, is he going to try and get some teammates to work with, Saturday? How is he going to do that? Because I think teammates will definitely help the process with the echeloning. And the way the echelons work is if you're sort of in the first 8 or 9 people, depending on if they're guttering or not, then you sort of made it. And if you're not in the first echelon, you can really be in a world of hurt. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays. Now, and with the way echelon is formed and you go around those corners and you turn around and you come right back, that is everybody has to sort of move. So you're in an advantaged position, and then you're in the least advantaged position, and then you're in the most advantaged position, or you're somewhere in the middle, trying to get some advantage, the whole way. So very interesting dynamics for sure on Saturday on that course.
And that's where the major difference comes in when we go from 4 racers to 8, because with 4 you can kind of luck out that you don't have reoccurring teammates. Now, Cycling Hub, they did have Tim and Nils come through in the same semifinals, Quinton and Timothy in 1, but when there are 8 racers per Omnium, and even in the qualifier, I believe the qualifier on Saturday is open to everybody, and the lower bracket follow-up round is open to everybody who doesn't qualify on directly. You're going to have this massive Omnium, and whichever team has the numbers advantage are really going to be looking to exploit that into the wind, looking to gutter people, looking to team up with their powers, because now we've gone from a very individual-based bracketed session tournament, and we'll be looking at a very team-oriented grand finale. So I'm excited to see how all that pans out. Cycling Hub, Velocity Vixen, CCC, Team CVR, etc. It's going to be some great racing all around. But I think some riders, they were looking forward to Echelon. I think they're going to hit this race even harder now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that, that we're doing here at CVR is pushing the envelope in terms of innovation, finding out, what kind of events work the best. Is it 4 up? Is it 8 up? Is it, 30 racers? Is it 50 racers? Is it 100 racers? What makes the most sense? I'm kind of liking these smaller races just because you can kind of watch the individuals, a little bit more, individually as opposed to, 50 people in a race and, you can only pick a couple that you're watching, or, the people at the front. Whereas with the smaller numbers, you get to watch everybody. I kind of like that.
I do tend to agree with you that the story is much bigger, much more influential when it's just the 4, because with 4 riders, everybody gets a bit of screen time, everybody gets on when you've got more races, but that doesn't mean the racing isn't equally as good. We've yet to try it, so I'm excited to see how this weekend stacks up against, because it's really not a fair comparison, because I'm certain that for everybody involved, what we saw this last weekend...
Oh, big stack-ups there. It was very, very interesting, that corner. It looks like VBK went down, but everybody sort of trapped because of the larger numbers. It's more congested on these courses, and I think Ellison's got the right idea. She went to the front and she said, you know what? I'm leaving all you guys behind.
So she's going at the front. She's got Beth York coming with her and Carl Axel Sander. Casey Shawn 2 seconds back. So 2 Velocity Vixen riders up here with Allison. And it's a good move. They've got 10 seconds on a chasing pack further down. So if they can look to work together, they can get away. But this is the long race of the day. Lakeview Lanes, it is 5 laps in total. and it's got a grueling on wind. You got to be looking to take turns. You've got to find your position out on the course. I mean, 3 seconds like this, if you don't work together, the group behind you can look to catch up. So good work, but this group has got a chance.
Yes. So sorry, I'm distracted by a message on my screen saying the next event's going to start. So something in the event engine is a little bit off, but everyone should just keep racing this event, and no need to go to the next one. I think the system is still confused by what happened in the previous event, but absolutely, this is a good break on the front, and so I think Casey is. He made a breakaway. Oh, he was slowing down for the corner. I was wondering why he was off the power there. But I think Casey's looking to make it back into this breakaway group. And I'm thinking the breakaway group is like, nope, we don't want Casey. We're strong enough on our own. You stay back there. We're going to go hard.
You can see Casey's even showing the guns today for maximum intimidation factor out on course today. So Casey Shum trying to get back on turns, as you can tell. Very ripped.
Hey, those are some pretty nice guns. I want some of those.
Now, somebody's definitely going to take a picture of that, put that in CVRcade Riders group, and frame that somewhere on their walls. Casey Shum, brilliant as always on the stream, but now, there's 3-second gap. He's still not quite closing it down. When you're up against Allison Kubota on the front, Frank, you're going to have to put in a massive effort to get back.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and so this will be very, very interesting. Now, maybe Ellison, she hasn't been acting like it, but maybe she wants Casey to come back to even out the velocity vixen numbers advantage here. Now, I think we need to guide Carl to the CVRcade store, hardware store, so that he can get a new heart rate monitor, because I think his is, often, having some difficulties. So we certainly want to get that fixed up before the weekend. So that doesn't cause him any problems, because that would be horrible if his heart rate monitor's battery died or whatever's going on there. But so a friendly reminder to Carl to take a look at that for the weekend.
Well, while you're at it, don't just stop at the heart rate monitor. Look to get the controllers, because I think single-handedly Carl has the worst setup I've ever seen with CVRcade, because he has his keyboard, I believe, up above him on like a little IKEA ledge, and so for him to change lanes, he has to take his hands off the handlebars, but not reach out, not reach to the side. He has to reach above him, which is something that I can't believe he hasn't looked to get fixed. I know he races the technical races with an Xbox controller on his handlebars. But I mean, Frank, imagine if you had to, every time you had to change lanes, you had to move your hand up above your head.
Yeah, it's really different. It's amazing what people can get used to. And then it was pretty funny. Early on, I was using a keyboard as well. I now absolutely use the controllers. The controllers are awesome, and something I think every serious cater wants to look at. But when I switched the first time to sort of going to the controller, it took me a while, because it was so automatic to go to the keyboard. It's amazing what your brain can do.
Oh, I remember the exact same thing way back in the day when I used to race as well with these guys. I remember thinking like, I don't need the controller, I'm happy with the keyboard, but the second, you see Carl once more in that corner, but the second you transition to the controller, and we saw it with Daniel LeBlanc as well, he's jumped on it. I saw Luis Sobraniz, a strong racer, ask about them, and I think once you get on the controllers, you never really look to go back. A racer who racing with them is Beth York here up in the front group, and I remember racing her live from the mixer studio, and it's just so much fun when you have those controllers and you are fully immersed. And I think that's where CVRcade really shines through, Frank, is like the level of immersion. Like, you do not forget that you're riding a bike. Like, it feels like cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of the buttons being right on your handlebars just increases that level of immersion. I don't even think about it anymore, and I'm hitting them and I'm tapping the brakes and I'm braking hard and switching lanes. We have a new version coming out that's 3 buttons on each side, which allows you to select and fire a power up, so you can stay completely on the keyboard the controller the whole time. So fun stuff. One of the things I'm noticing here is this group is really walking away with it. And so they're going hard on the front, and I think the other people are like, you know what, we're saving it for Saturday, at least with regards to this event.
You can tell Timothy, Quentin, they're in here, Peter, Homer. I think it's a really interesting case study on, incentive. Like when there's something to race for, Frank, that people go incredibly stupid hard. I mean, we've seen that with the bracketed session. If you can improve your points by 10 points, you will go out and set a new heart rate max. You'll go out and set a new power curve, 10-second power curve, whatever. But now that everyone is like, well, what I'm here on, I don't really mind everybody else. I am here to take notes. I'm here to kind of learn. And it's like one massive study group with a few riders also wanting an excellent workout.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I think that's wreaking havoc with the riders is the wind. Anytime you get sort of above the 10 kph level, the wind matters, right? As I say, I hate the
Allison.
wind. Oh, that was unfortunate, and that was strange. She had the out, not sure what was going on there, and so maybe she just missed it, paying attention to some other things. You come around that corner and you've got the lean, and maybe you think you're in a different lane than you really are because of the lean. So that was unfortunate because she's really the one that made this break, and she's definitely turned off the power.
Yeah, look how quick you fall behind in this wind if you go back. She's now 13 seconds off the group. She's about to be caught by the second group out on the road. And I think the Velocity Vixen riders kind of caused that crash because they occupy both inside lanes. And then Allison, so used to just being able to, flow through the corners in her lanes that she knows. But because she was one further over, she doesn't know she's crashing before she's already hit it. So next level things. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can turn on Casey's audio. What is this, Casey?
There's the blocks coming up.
Oh. Well, now, what do you make of that, Frank?
Well, this is interesting, right? And it's interesting what Carl's doing here, especially in a high skill event. I think that. Well, there's two things here that I think is very interesting. You probably think you can't drop Casey. That's number one. But here's what I'm thinking. If you're Ellison, I don't want Ellison to go back to that group behind me. If I'm the breakaway group now, because I'd probably sit up and wait for Ellison to come back, which I know is not what Velocity Vixen wants to do. But if you let her go back to the likes of Quentin and Peter and VBK, she'll get on the front and she'll just be an engine and bring everybody back to you just to spite you, right? Not that Ellison does that to spite, but that's just as a racer, that's what you do. It's like, hey, you caused me to go out here, and I'm going to come back, to the end, and I think this will be very, very interesting. This is the whole thing of, do you sit on a wheel and take the chance at a block, or do you go to the front? And when you have numbers like this, you can definitely expect a Velocity Vixen.
Casey! Oh, face meets Cinder Block. Casey 0, Cinder Block 1, and now Casey goes down. I think he may have just been not paying attention.
Yeah, we should talk to Casey there before Ellison catches him and he has to work stupid hard.
We're just seeing the highlight here. Casey, what happened?
I just was guessing that there was only one corner block there, or one lane, not two. I was trying to block them around, and I just didn't know the track well enough.
Well, better to make the mistakes now than on Saturday.
Yeah, I was trying to brake and drop in behind Carl, but I went one lane. I needed to go two.
I'll let you get back to it, Casey.
So interesting. So I would have to say that, it looks like Velocity Vixen's gameplay has put them in the solo lead here. Now, they don't seem to be working very well together. So this is really odd. So you had this great teamwork, and now you have sort of Carl off the front here, and, maybe Carl's just like, you know what? I want the victory, and I'm not going to let Beth ride my wheel, to the end here. But it might be wise for them to work for another couple of kilometers and then go, 1v1 for the victory.
I think a lot of it also comes down to having fun. Like with the stakes that have been on the platform, now we see Beth is at 199, so I'm sure she's having a lot of fun right now sitting on the front. But with the stakes that have been on the platform, now is the time where all that is just gonna lift it off, and whatever happens, happens. Even the inter-team play as Carl versus Beth, like I'm sure they both equally want to win as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to chat with some racers whether or not 199 equals fun. I know that when I'm in the hurt locker, it's not really fun at the time. It's great fun at the end. And the one element I think is fun is what your mental acuity is when you're at 199. Like I always like to test myself. Like I'll be a little egotistical here. I consider myself a fairly intelligent individual. No comments from the peanut gallery, please. But what I notice is as my heart rate goes up, my IQ goes down, and I like to sort of test that and see how much of my IQ I can keep when I'm in the hurt locker. And the answer is not as much as I'd like, but it's an interesting thing to sort of play with, at that point.
Now we got Beth with the headphones on. That's not something we usually see. So I think she's in team communication with Carl, because you saw them synchronizedly use the wind at your back. You saw them simultaneously see them use the path of least resistance, the power-ups you are given on this track. So it'd be interesting to see if they duke it out to the end for the victory or they let it go. We've got Casey on the side-by-side with Carl here. Casey just sitting up, waiting for Allison, trying to work together with her, and then seeing what he can do later on. The group further down, they're at 161s, 170s, 190s as they're testing out things. But this sort of practice racing, Frank, we haven't really seen it before. What do you make of it so far?
Well, it's interesting here. I think let's assume for the moment that Carl and Beth are trying to work well together and not to have those gaps. This is invaluable for Carl right now, learning the experience, because what you always tend to do as a racer when you take the front is go too hard, right? It's just one of those things that's sort of a natural human reaction, and when you do that, you gap the person, and the person behind hates you, right? I mean, they're at 198 on their heart rate, 199. They just got off the front from a pull, and you go a little too hard, and it's just painful, right? I mean, you're just like, please don't do that. But this will be valuable. So what they're learning is how to ease onto the front, sort of maintain the same power, let the other person get back on your wheel, the 4 inches, really, really close. And then you sort of gradually, increase the power. And you see that they're practicing that here. You see Carl just did a dig there. And probably a little bit too much of a dig. So you just got to learn to sort of be very, very fluid, very, very smooth, and that is matters dramatically. Me and Kayla, really sort of got in a groove, and me, Kayla, and Rick really, and it makes a huge difference on how much energy you can save.
I think
much harder though. In Carl's defense, much harder when there's lots of wind. It makes that much more difficult.
I think also there's only a select group of riders on the platform that can really execute it well, because it's, in my head, doing a nicely timed chain gang is as difficult as riding Dark Matter Velo, because you have to, like, you have so many variables you gotta depend on. And when you see Frank, I remember the Tempo Run event where you, Kayla, and Rick just rode away from everybody. Fantastic to watch. Moti can do it, Casey can do it, Tim and Allison can do it, but there's a lot of riders that really can't do it, and it's, for a lot of people, myself included, it is as difficult doing that as riding like Dark Matter Velo, because you've got to time it right, you've got to understand where the other person's going to be, the wind, the effort level, and if you get it wrong just once or twice, the entire rhythm gets out of whack. But now 300 meters remain. What will Beth and Carl do? They went on to the attack. They had Allison and Casey with them. Allison went down, then Casey made a mistake. I think these two might just try ride hand in hand over the finish line. No sprint between them. Beth at 199 equalized heart heart rate. Definitely no walk in the park as she crosses the line. Actually, Carl comes over on the inside here as we try and get a photo line finish. Oh, that is amazing. Good spirits there from Velocity Vixen.
I think Beth crossed the line first there, didn't she?
Yes.
So that was fun watching them go back and forth. And this ended up being definitely some separation. So very interesting because, you know, we certainly had enough riders that you would have expected more of a sort of a Peloton esque, you know, a pack-based race there, at least for the first half. And Ellison said, no, I wouldn't have. I'm going to stamp my authority. And, you know, she made the break and then unfortunately, you know, went straight on into concrete pylon, which had to hurt.
I had to hurt her virtual avatar, of course. Not quite that level of immersion just yet, but wait for the day you can get a CVRcade cement controller in real life. Is that next? Can I put a patent down on that, Frank, in case we ever go that direction?
Yeah, you know, we'll just hang it up there on a pendulum, and if you face plant into a thing, we'll release it and it'll come down and, you know, knock you off your bike. I'm pretty sure the attorneys aren't going to approve that, but we'll run it by him anyway.
Oh, amazing. Beth, congratulations. What's the snack of choice? I just saw you getting some snacks on. What's the victory snack?
Peeps, Christmas tree. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan of the sugar-covered marshmallow treats. I'm pretty much back to kind of clean eating, except for fuel. Yeah, no, and I heard you guys saying I have these headphones because my earbuds are broken, so I'm listening to the commentary, talking to my teammates. We were practicing echelon, and sometimes, you know, with the trying to, as Frank was saying, you know you're going to headwind that you have to dig. It was changing to some crosswinds. We were just trying to put ourselves in the right position. So just practice, and sometimes when you know you're going to be doing a lane change, we didn't want to spill it, so maybe we gave ourselves too much separation. But that was fun, good practice. It's kind of what we set out to do.
Sorry, now you and Carl, neither of you got to qualify and race here over the weekend. Now you get to ride together. Was that kind of the revenge tour for not being included?
Well, you know, I mean, we probably have fresh legs. Well, we know we have fresher legs, so depending on what we did this weekend. But so it was more for us to come out here and practice as a team. We've been formulating sort of our longer term strategy and when we can ride together. So this is kind of a training ride for us today, as it's a training race. But we're racing it. You gotta practice like you play. So we weren't gonna just go easy. We wanted to work together and try to simulate a race condition and feel the pressure, and we tried to come across the line at the same time. I was like, come on. So we were just like a bike length or half a bike length, so that was fun.
I'm sure you're like, oh bugger, I crossed the line first, what a shame. I guess
Did most of the pulling. No, he did most of the pulling. He deserved to come across the line first, but like we said, it's training.
Well, thank you, Beth. A minute remaining here in the racing. Let's see what Casey took away from that last race. Casey, practice run on Lakeview Lanes. One of your first few times on the track. What do you take away?
Yeah, it was good. It was good practice. Haven't seen, you know, kind of took the first few laps seriously, and then when it was just the three of us, you know, I pinned Carl in that one lane and forced him to either pass me or go behind me because that lane was going to close soon, and you know, just played around a little bit. You know, Beth has that nice soft food to eat right now, but next time we're on there, she's going to eat concrete. I'm gonna pay back the favor there. So just bring it on, Beth.
Oh, I'm going to steal that line one time, so thank you very much, Casey. I like that one. Good luck in Fantastic Alien Sea coming up next. But as you could hear, Frank, they were trying to work together. They've been practicing it. I mean, now is the time to really find your groove, because come this weekend, it's going to play a massive role.
Absolutely. I have so many things to comment on. First of all, we have a name for the concrete pendulum. It's the Eat Concrete controller. So I definitely like that in terms of the controller name. And OMG on Beth, and we tried to cross at the same time. She absolutely. Oh, and Casey went down. So that's an ugly start to this particular race. We can tell that Casey is definitely taking this easier than this past Saturday. Certainly a lot less attentive to lane changes.
I think it's good to have that little bit of a switch, perhaps, to come in and be like, you know what? This is what it's like to really just have fun. Because despite the crashes, I mean, Casey is smiling, he's engaged. I mean, you get all this sort of jokes and fun out of the way. Of course, you want your workouts. You're still going to go deep. You're still going to, put out the watts. But these riders are just going to, have fun with it, practice the tracks. And then at the end, they still want the bragging rights. But the eat concrete, I'll just say I want 50% of every sales right now.
I'm sorry. I think that was Casey's idea, and so he's in on that deal. But yeah, but I did have an OMG on Beth. I know Beth; she's competitive. So Carl, the next time, sprint harder if you want to cross the line at the same time. I'm air quoting here. But maybe we'll have to have a little hand-in-hand animation. Or isn't that, I think in some racings, types of racing, that's actually illegal. Didn't someone get disqualified for that here a while back in, triathlon or something like that? So very interesting. And you definitely see, Quentin and Timothy. So it looks like people have sort of chosen which race they're going to go hard in. And these are a little more like parades today than massive races. So I think people definitely holding cards, just getting familiar with the courses. The whole face planting by Ellison or eating concrete, by Ellison and Casey will serve them well this weekend. They'll be way more attentive, maybe a little more anxious, but certainly way more attentive to some of that stuff.
You'd think that Beth York has a tiny bit of an advantage here because this has the feel of a Rise and Rip group ride, riders everywhere, getting along, trying out tracks, talking together. Now, it's a bit quicker than a Rise and Rip. I mean, I'm not sure I've seen Beth at 196 before in a Rise and Rip. So, next level. But, Frank, how much of this is the riders just not wanting to show their hand? Because guys like Timothy and Quinton, I am sure that they have so many things up their sleeves, but they don't want to test it when other riders are watching?
Well, I think unfortunately they're letting one of their cards show. I don't know that I have it correctly, but I get the sense that Timothy is going to be working for Quentin this weekend. Just sort of watching their interplay and good. I like how Timothy's like, nah, maybe, but I'll call a little bit of a bluff there. I mean, we'll see this weekend, but I kind of see that sort of developing. I think that's what they're practicing a little bit here. And what I think is awesome is that these two friends are, live to fight another day, I think is the cliche we want to use here. And I think this is just awesome. I think actually their relationship and their bond will be much stronger in the coming weeks and years. And I expect to see a lot from these two on the platform as we go forward.
I agree. Like, it takes a lot of courage to suit back up and get on. I think you heard from Tim in the interview that you saw Quentin literally just walk away, and he was so furious when the whole Dark Matter Velo accident happened. Timothy had to pick himself up. But what I gotta say though, Frank, is the community really came out. The amount of people that, at least because they know I'm good friends with Timothy, reached out to me and was like, is Timothy okay? I mean, I feel for the guy. He deserves to go on through. I mean, I've made mistakes all the time on these tracks, but there's $3,000 on the line. So the community really bonding together, even though there's so much money on the line, I think it beckons well for the future.
Oh, absolutely. It was a compelling story, on so many levels, right? So, you have Timothy. You get to Dark Matter Velo. We're all counting Timothy, into the finals because, I mean, he's on his course, right? I mean, he's got the record on the course, and he just goes down early, right? Maybe it was a little bit of the wind, who knows what it was exactly, but and then the comeback, right? I mean, it was his course. You could tell it was his course. Nobody else comes back from a crash on a 3-up race like that. It wasn't that long, but he does. and he does it, with a dramatic skill, and then at the end for them both to go out in the final corner, was just epic. And what was, and then Timothy was very, very compelling on stream. I think we all felt for him, just because of the turn of events.
I think Viveke is trying to tell us something here. Sorry, Viveke has changed her web camera around, and she's struggling.
I think she's having an event problem. Yes. That's awesome. She's like, hey, I was good on stream, but I can't be good on stream when this is what I'm writing.
Oh, thanks.
She's actually still, but Viveke should know that she's still ahead of Carl, so no worries. So even sight unseen, she's ahead of Carl.
Oh, I just love Vibeke. Ever since that one stream where it was just the three of us in here and she was just killing it, and now again, she's having issues and she's not afraid to show it. She goes, oh, look at this. This is why I'm this far back. Otherwise, I'd be at the front. Now, we see Casey testing a bit of the corner speeds. I think he's just testing how far he can bring it through, use inertia. So these power-ups come this weekend. You've got Path of Least Resistance, Inertia, and Racer's Edge. I mean, these power-ups have been used on this track so many times before, but you don't really get an opportunity to practice like this and find new corners where perhaps inertia can be used, the corner speeds. What do you think the next invention is going to be, Frank, when it comes to power-ups, when it comes to these tracks? What do you think the next gameplay mechanic we're getting towards is going to be?
Oh, we have to wait for next season for that, but there is some stuff coming. Some stuff is known. Like the quantum explosions for someone who overbreaks, blocking. But and we'll see how that plays, because I think blocking has become much more accepted and whatnot. But we'll get a chance, as we're always innovating on the platform, to see what how that plays. And then I think the next thing that we'll see as well is the plan has always been that as we introduce new seasons, some of the power-ups that you're used to stick around. So your old and familiar favorites, but maybe some of your favorites also disappear in favor of some different power-ups, and so you have to learn the game that way. But I think one of the things, wind really changes things, and we see Ellison really sort of sticking that corner, but then maybe overbreaking, and Timothy and Quentin trying to punish her for it. But but the wind also changes. I think that's why you see Casey changing it. Like, how long, if I'm going into the headwind, can I use these things, before I go out? And you see Quentin just hitting that power up and timing spot on with inertia.
So now you're seeing Timothy and Quentin, they're taking it to the front. Also, Homer Thompson is back in racing here. He was in 5th. He was earlier. He was up in 3rd with Timothy and Quentin. Unfortunately, he did crash in the descent, but it's good to see Homer in the races here at 195 equalized heart rate. He is feeling it as we're on the last lap. So this is Zone K. Today is a bit more of a practice day for the grand finale that's this coming weekend. Thursday will be more of the same, but I think the discussion and the debate that are coming up are very interesting. But Frank, if we're going to add new power-ups, eat cement or eat concrete, I mean, that has to be a power-up now. It must be, right?
I don't think eat concrete power-up is scheduled, but that would probably develop some controversy. Forget blocking. We're going to make you eat concrete. Might be a little OP, in terms of a power up. One note to Vibeke and to everybody: we've seen that track not loading as an intermittent problem. It doesn't happen very often, but if you do see it, sort of the way that you can notice it is your progress bar will just be a little blip on the left-hand side, and it won't grow. If you see that, just exit the game and get back in, and all should be well. And it's always good to go to a track a little bit early, so you have a minute or two to see that that's happening and get back in. So that's the current workaround for that, and we are working on that as we speak. We've been talking about it for the last couple of days as well, so everyone can keep that in mind as well. So Timothy and Quentin have, Ellison hard braked in that corner, and this is an interesting aspect of Cade. She sort of jumped out to the lead, and then she overbroke. Quentin and Timothy took it a little bit smoother, and just that little bit of a gap has allowed Quentin and Timothy to sort of increase the gap over time. And Ellison, I think, has backed off as well. But those little things, the subtleties of the corners are really important in Cade, and I think one of the reasons for that is there's lots of corners, right? More than you tend to think about it. And if you gain a second a corner, then you're gaining massive time and causing your opponents to have to put out massive power that you're not having to use.
Now, Quentin using the path of least resistance and Racer's Edge. I was wondering if we were going to see Timothy and Flosses again. I was kind of hoping we were going to see Cycling Hub take on the Velocity Vixen hand-in-hand finish line to see if they could pull it off. But there seems to be a very, very clear pecking order amongst the hierarchy, amongst the Team Cycling Hub. That'll be interesting to see how it develops, but Quentin looks to take this one, and Timothy second, Allison further down. But funny story when it comes to your mentioning of the corner speeds in the game. As we can see, I think Casey just wants a word here for a second. What's up, Casey?
Tell Cycling Hub to be careful that you can wreck in that last corner. They need to slow down. Be careful.
Okay, so Casey Cycling Hub know. What is all that about?
That's going to be fun. I think Casey's trying to stoke the rivalry, and this is, I think part of the fun of the platform as we see developing as well, as sort of this rivalry between the various groups, and different groups taking on sort of different personas, right? So you've got Cycling Hub, kind of the bad boys, I think, is how most people perceive them. I don't know that that's fair, but they certainly started some of the blocking tactics early on, and so if you do it first, then you kind of become known for that. I think Velocity Vixen is more aggressive actually on that tactic as of late, and then you have Team Cognition, which is sort of maybe the reverse, the white hat guys as opposed to the black hat guys, if you will. Oh wait, let's see, for Beth. That would be the offensive guys and the defensive guys, and so I'll poke a little rivalry at Beth there and how we talk about racing as well. And so each team, CCC, sort of has its own character, and that's fun to watch in the races as well.
Oh, Vibeke Bertram manages to finish the race without a single crash, so that is very impressive as she comes over the line. Ryan further down. I do love the stories. Now, Casey's comment, I'll totally admit, went way over my head until Frank picked it up, so I'm glad that I've got someone up here with a bit of competence in the broadcasting booth as we see Ryan. I do believe Ryan is down with a tiny bit of illness, so I'm glad to see he's in the racing as well, taking on the racing today. And so that is all they rode for Zone K. We've got 2 zones today here for the early broadcast. Then we've got Zone T later on tonight. So the next zone begins in 25 minutes, I do believe. So if you're sticking around, maybe refill up your water bottles, get some more marshmallow sugar-coated Christmas trees to eat, and get ready as more racers come back in. But as we watch the highlights,
wait, can we talk about peeps for a second?
I've never had a peep.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you've never had a peep. I used to think there might be worse foods on the planet, but we're going to have to get Beth's take on this. That's got to be the most highly processed, sugar-oriented food on the planet with artificial covering slapped on top of it. Yeah. I know peeps are a thing and people just go crazy for them or whatever, but Seriously, I'm trying to eat better, except for Peeps.
Beth, what do you make of that?
So, when we have s'mores in the summertime, like I eat the whole package of marshmallows. Like it makes my brain happy, and absolutely it's processed with all the chemicals that make your brain. I think they're more addicting than some of the addictive substances because whenever I quit like sugar, processed sugar, and I have one of these, my brain goes, pew, like it's like so happy. So, you know, and then they make them year round now. So it used to just be Easter. And
So is that
you know,
like
and now,
is that like cocaine or?
I don't know. There's probably been some studies, but I think they call
Oh, please, we're
adaptability.
family friendly. Nobody do any of that stuff. Look at she loves
Snackability.
those things.
I
You
love them.
love those
No,
things.
I get them for everybody gets them for me for every holiday, like stacks of them. And then when they go on sale, like they're like, you know, pennies on the dollar, I get a whole bunch of them. So one year they made watermelon flavor, birthday cake flavor. Oh yeah, no, I've even reached out to Peeps for sponsorship. So
Oh,
I
you
am
should
not
send them this
sponsored. They
clip.
don't do that.
You should
They don't-
most
well,
definitely
you know
send
what?
them this
Here.
clip and be like, can you please sponsor me now?
Peeps, I love you, man. No, they're
Look
not
at
really
Casey.
that
He's
good.
just shaking his head. Let's go to Casey. We've got to get Casey's take on Peeps.
Casey, what do you make of Peeps?
I want to know what they're going to look like on Saturday after she eats Peeps while she's racing and ripping her legs off. Yeah, I'm a big Peep fan, so if anybody hasn't had it, you got to cook like campfire s'mores with Peeps.
Yes.
Like it is s'mores on a whole nother level. My wife
Thank you,
introduced me
Kate.
to that last year.
Kids watching the stream. Sugar is evil. Like these things could go through like a nuclear blast and still look like Peeps. So you know
The
that
shelf
tells
life
you.
is- yeah, the shelf
So what
life
you're
is pretty
saying
high.
is we need to stock our storm shelter with Peeps. That's what I hear. Because they'll
Oh
last
dear.
Oh, what have we become, guys? Talking about snacks. I mean, at least we can bring up some snacks that us Europeans have heard of before. I mean, this is also American. I mean, next up we're gonna bring up Twinkies.
Nah.
Well, go to Timothy. Come on. Go to Timothy. Surely Timothy likes Peeps as well.
What?
Timothy? Oh,
Hello?
are you? Where do you stand on this whole Peeps discussion? This whole snack? Have you ever tried a Peep?
No, I wasn't really following the conversation, but if it's about snacks, what up? What is a peep?
It's like a marshmallow with like yellow or green. I guess green. I didn't know green was a thing. Artificial coloring
Okay.
on top of it. Do you like
Okay,
marshmallows?
do they ship to Belgium?
I'll
Oh,
send you some.
we're gonna get you some, Timothy.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Saturday, I'll give them a few review.
Well, see, and now Beth, you can go to the Peeps. Who makes Peeps? I don't even. Is the Peep makers?
It's Peep.
And you can be like Peep maker. And I'm broadening your market to Belgium because once Timothy gets them, he's like a whole market onto himself.
I'm not sure what to make of that
Oh.
comment.
But then the Kinder Buenos will be halved.
You know,
Yes, right now the Kinder Buenos are gonna stop the Peeps at the border for customs.
All right. I'm gonna eat a little bit.
That-
Casey's like, I'm gonna go eat something real. Did you guys all hear that? He's like, I'm done with you, Peeps. Pun intended.
For anyone listening in, not thinking about food, thinking about racing, I believe there is an event starting in about 9 minutes time saying stay warm if you want to. I just see it from the chat. But the Also Zone L begins in 15 minutes time, so I'm not sure you can be able to finish that event, but there is a CVR Stay Warm event, 8 laps of Kayla's mountain track. I'm not sure if that will finish in time for Zone L to start, but we can join that in the meanwhile.
Wait, I gotta talk to the events team. That's a warm-up? Okay. Yes, stay warm and rip your legs off.
Oh,
Event is what that one should be called.
Timothy, wait, Timothy. What? So now we have this whole snack conversation, and you've been keeping snacks away from us? What is this?
Hello?
Hello?
It's a it's a waffle with honey, like we got on Tour of Flanders.
Oh, never again.
You remember these?
Yes, I do. The devil. Oh.
Yeah, they're good.
Now,
Some honey in it.
I believe Ryan is trying to make a statement as well. I can see this snack thing is really going to catch on. Who knew all you need to talk about is food? And so Ryan, with some, what is this, Ryan? Oh. Ryan?
Gold. He's like gummy bears or something. What is this?
I like how you went for the gold bears, considering he's Ryan Golden Bear. Or so.
Well, he talked to us, but his mouth is plumb full of these things, and he can't speak.
Wait, are we talking about Timothy or Ryan here? Because I can see both of them eating. Oh, this is.
Oh.
The CVR World Cup stream is just degenerated, and I think I have myself to blame for it. I'll have a stern talking to myself in the mirror shortly.
I think we need a CVRcade World Cup eating competition. I think that's what everyone wants to see. But the question is, what's the food gonna be?
Doesn't matter.
I think one. Wait, so let me be a salesperson here for a second to try and save something of the people I'll have to chat with later. That is one of the benefits of CVRcade. You can still eat. So there you go. You've seen it on stream. Even the best of the best can still eat on CVRcade.
That is true, though. I mean, Timothy, when is the last time you thought, oh, I can't have this because I gotta think about my watts per kilo, I gotta think about all these ratios?
I always say, if you're hungry, you gotta eat. That's it.
So I just have to share with you. So I'm on a rather restricted diet at the moment, and this whole conversation has ruined me for the rest of the day. All I'm going to do is have cravings, even for Peeps. I'll take any and all of it at this point in time. Oh, every time I see a Peep, I think I ate a Peep once, and they're like spongy or something. They're just even the whole texture in your mouth is an adventure.
I think we need to look for somewhere that imports Peeps into the UK, and I think we need to get a Peep trying food first time like stream. I think because like you're all talking about this, and I like no relation whatsoever. I mean, could be anything.
I think the EU has forbidden Peeps to be sold anywhere within the European Union. So, good luck with that. That's completely made up, by the way. Don't anybody send me.
I will let you know I'm getting a very, very stern look from the executive producer here. He's going, how have you never heard of Peeps? That's incredibly stupid. It's just sugar-coated marshmallows, you idiot. I'm like, okay.
Wait.
So.
Wait, no, that's got to be a misnomer. Sugar-coated sugar? Like... Is it seriously sugar on sugar? Oh, I don't even know what to do with that. Oh,
I love it.
Leave it to us Americans. We can put fat on fat, and we can put sugar on sugar. Our stuff might taste great, but let's just say it might make you expand around the waistline and have other problems along the way.
But you can still race CVRcade. You can still race CVRcade. I think that's something we should be going around. We should ask people what their choice of snacks and what their food is after they race. Because that must be so varying between races from races. Like some are going to eat healthy and others are like, right, I have earned 10 wings, 20 onion rings, I have a steak and maybe a burger, and yeah, let's get back tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting because, all joking aside, I completely understand Beth's whole sugar thing. So I did, all these energy drinks forever, and, they're 4 parts, carbohydrates and 1 part protein, and, it maximizes the uptake. And then somebody was like, oh, just do apple juice. Some other people do milk. And I had a funny, somebody bought me sweet tea. Can't stand sweet tea because it's just way too sweet for me. But in the middle of a ride, sweet tea is the bomb, right? I mean, it's got a little bit of caffeine and way too much sugar to be something you would drink at any other time. But it works pretty well. And then I tend to drink some like smart water, so I have electrolytes in my water. But very, very interesting what people do, and so you can certainly get away with doing something a little bit different. So sort of all joking aside, I get where Beth is coming from, because if you've ever bonked on a ride, if you've ever ridden long enough so that your sort of the sugar level in your blood just sort of disappears and you just feel amazingly tired, and then you eat some sugar, you really are like, wow, that's an amazing thing, because all your energy comes back and you start to feel good, and it's a very, very interesting experience. And so you realize that your body does need some carbohydrates to run, and so I think that will be an interesting thing to follow up with people on over time.
Also joining us in the broadcast for this next one, I really wish Sebastian was in, because that is one person I would love to ask what his favorite snack is. I mean,
I'm dead. I don't eat.
Well, I was gonna say like nails and hammers or whatever. I mean, that's whatever oil he's running on. But we do have Kayla in here. Kayla, we've just been discussing snacks. I'm not sure if you've been following, but where do you stand on the whole snack debate? Where do you usually lean towards?
It's this whole debate about just the whole pea thing too. It's just too funny. But I mean, I do love my sugar definitely. But I have some oats that I've been eating this morning. But I mean, Snickers are my favorite candy bar. That's for sure. With Halloween, that was just around the corner. I ate so much of that candy because it was on sale. So bad. So I'm trying to stay away from it.
Frank, where does oats rank on the sweets anometer or whatever? Where do we rank that?
That's like a negative 10, negative 100, negative infinity. I ate oats this morning. Wow. So we now know why Kayla's killing it, because she gets up in the morning and she eats oats. And then she's like, well, okay, but I know what you guys really want me to say. Snickers. I like Snickers, but I don't eat them. So, right. So we're going to have to track this now, right, for some period of time. How is Beth going and how is Kayla going? Which is better as a fuel for racing, Peeps or Oats? That'll be an interesting debate as we go forward.
Let's see, Beth, do you accept the race? Sorry, Kayla.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. No, but I think it's all about balance. And I'll just back up for a second, because Frank was talking about, the sugar and the, you're going to bonk. And that was when I started using Peeps on a ride, like outside after like 60 miles. I was like, I earned them, But really, when you sit there and eat all the goos and you're on like a 6 or 7 hour, race or whatever, it's like you get so sick of some of the treats. And I know that the texture's weird or whatever, but honestly, you do have to refuel with something healthy to feed your muscles, a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrates. But I accept oats are a good choice, Kayla. I like you making good choices. That's good. Kayla doesn't need to eat oats. She can eat Snickers to beat me. But it is nice never to worry about weighing myself. I have stayed pretty much the same, but I never think about, oh my gosh, I have to, whatever, watch out about this or whatever. I just ride hard, try to recover, and it's nice. It's liberating.
Well, I do have a new idea for a new Peep. It's the oat rolled Peep, so you can get the best of both worlds. Now, I'm going to go out and put a patent on that and see if I can get the Peeps people to pay me for the healthier version of Peeps.
I wanted Vixen shaped. I wanted little Vixen shaped ones. Like I thought, like, oh my gosh, like wait, see, look at it. Hold on. Look at a Peep that looks like this. How cute would that be? Everyone thinks Allison's warm and fuzzy because she has a duck. Look at how warm and fuzzy I am. See?
I don't know words.
See?
No.
This
no
is my buddy.
I want to see if you can race like that. That's what I want to see. If you can keep your Velocity Vixen on your shoulder at
But if I don't-
190
yeah.
heart rate. So
Oh,
we
well, I
need to
probably
get
do
some.
188.
So
190, I'm
okay,
not so
so
sure.
I do have an analyst's comment about peeps versus dudes versus
I thought we were going back to the racing there for a
all-
second.
all of that. No, hey, this is a deep dive. We got to take this to the
Oh, we're
nth level.
diving
Come on.
deep. We are diving so deep.
So all joking aside, my sense for people is find something that you like and that works for you, and then ignore everybody else, right? You can
Right.
try other stuff. You can, think about this might work better for you. But I remember one time there was this drink that was just supposed to be great, and it would make you go really good and everything. And it just was the most horrible, god-awful tasting thing you'd ever have in your entire life, right? And I tried to do some rides with that. Those were the worst rides ever because I was so dehydrated by the end because I wouldn't eat or drink anything, right? And I could do those same rides with Coke. And I'm a big fan of Coke, which I don't drink anymore, but because I'm on a restricted diet at the moment. But like I would go so good on Coke, and I would drink it, and and all of that. And if you're doing the exercise, you have a little more leeway. And sort of our philosophy here at CVRcade, which I also think makes a great life philosophy, is have some balance, right? Enjoy life, enjoy the things that you do, but make sure you put in the hard work to keep yourself healthy. And okay, you can return to racing now, Jesper. I feel analytical.
No. One final thing, because Sebastian has just joined in, and now this is what everyone wants to know. Sebastian, we've just spent the last 20 minutes discussing snacks, discussing food. I think everyone wants to know, what does the Destroyer eat for snacks?
The bones of small children.
No, dry bread and water. What else?
Oh.
By the way, my
It's
legs
such
feel
a
like
STEM
kids
answer.
today.
Okay, Sam is just awesome, right? I'm trying to come up with, something, but that is so deadpan. Bread, dry bread, water.
Oh. Sebastian, I don't get how you keep coming up with it. Thank you for being in the broadcast, Sebastian. Now, 3 minutes.
Sebastian might be the only person who would be comfortable in prison.
Oh, that is a horrible thought. Also, I would fear for everybody else in there. I mean, oh my goodness, what have we become? But anyway, Frank, do we need to have a rain check? We're back on Thursday. I mean, should we bring notes on snacks and stuff? Should everybody make a presentation?
I think we should expand it to, pre and post race meals like you're talking about. Because I think that would be really fun. I always say that there is a proteins and salad crowd and a beers and burger crowd. I'm certainly more of the beers and burgers crowd. I enjoy food. I'm definitely a foodie type. And maybe I'm just talking about it a lot because I can't really eat too much at the moment. But that will be my Christmas present. But I think that would be some good, fun discussions.
I would love to know, because we've just posted the highlight of Moti's awesome kit the other day. I'd love to know what his favorite snack is. We should get him on the broadcast one day. But for those that have just tuned in, getting ready for So Now, thinking, what has happened? What has my favorite show become? Well, don't worry. You haven't accidentally turned on Food Network or whatever it's called, Food TV. You're still watching the CVRcade World Cup. We've got the grand finale coming up this weekend. $5,000 on the line. And everybody's just having a bit of fun. That does seem to be the theme, getting in amongst the action, testing out things, everybody riding together. There's a few racers that I thought were only going to do one zone today, but they're doing both zones here, Frank. So I think that's a mix of, like, they don't want to miss anything, but I think they're also actually having fun riding again.
You keep saying that, this past weekend was torture or something. I think they all had fun. To the crowd who's watching, it's fun, even when it's tense.
So fun
We
might
don't
be the
torture
wrong
anybody
word,
here
but
at
they might be able to
CVRcade.
appreciate it while it's happening and not afterwards. So in the moment, everybody is involved.
Well, you just haven't been racing enough lately, Jesper, because, seriously, all joking aside, I think sometimes when it's the most intense, it's the most fun. It's different than, a ride and rip, sort of session that maybe is, a little more social and a lot less competitive. I think it's still a lot of fun. I love to see people, executing different tactics and doing it under pressure, and being a part of that is always great fun, at least for me.
20 seconds to go. Timothy, I saw you wanted to make a final note. Anything you want to add before the racing begins? Oh.
Oh.
I guess
Ah,
not.
dus ik ga hier gewoon met de groep meegaan
never
en
mind.
niet...
He's back talking Dutch. I saw him wanting to make a note, but the racing gets back on, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely, and here we go.
Sebastian Kuhn off the front. I love his kit today. I love what he's wearing here. Bringing it back retro. I'm not even sure what team, what kit, what era that is from, but Sebastian Kuhn ready to rock and roll. I'm sure he will just take every single event like it was a race day. He'll come out here wanting to run through it like it's a race preparation, see how it's gonna go. Also joining in, we have Tim Fulford, the champion of Saturday's racing. He is back in, so we can see he was ill with a virus, yet he still managed to somehow go through and win the racing. I think that speaks like volumes to Tim's character as a racer, to be like less than your 100% physically, but to have your mental ability to carry through, Frank, that really shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Tim has mental toughness. It's one of the things that makes him good on Cade. And, that was certainly on display this past weekend.
900 meters remain in Electric Rush. Earlier today, it was Quinton and it was Peter Kastrup who went 1 and 2. Quinton is back for more racing here. Kayla is in. Nils Heldens has joined in 4th place and taken home $300 from the finale of the tournament in the bracketed session. Now, what can he do in the grand finale? That will be the question. He came in as the underdog, but now everybody will have him as a marked man. No longer can he slide underneath the radar. They know he is one to watch out for, as Kinjal near the back uses comeback kit. Quinton sitting in. Timothy is back. Ryan Goldenberg with his Golden Bears as well. He's got his snacks ready to go. And now we get ready for the sprint finish. We're on the last lap. You see Kayla coming to the front. Beth is up there. Ryan as well. Quinton Molyneux once more. We've seen Ryan nail the sprint before, but it won't be him this time around. As Nils, Timothy, Kayla, Quinton, and Tim, I think it is, or we will await the final result. It's Timothy Tumont taking the victory here on Electric Rush.
Yeah, that was certainly a sprint, as you saw there. I thought Kim, we'll give Kim a shout out here. He was at the front there, and I thought he might contest the sprint. But those who are the Cade masters came by him and took the top of the podium. Actually, Kim faded all the way back to 9th. Sorry about that, Kim, but you were there at the start of that sprint.
Now we're watching the highlights here again as we see the sprint. So Kim Fairchild near the front. He's still sprinting hard here, but then he starts going towards the back. And in the end, it is a Cycling Hub 1-2 with Timothy Tumont, Tim Fulford, Kayla in 3rd, then Nils and Quinton taking over in 4th and 5th. So as we go and talk to Timothy Tumont here. Timothy, congratulations taking the win. We did just hear before the racing begun, you spoke your native tongue. Are you in communication with your teammates?
Yeah, I'm just having some fun with Quinton and Nils. What I said there was like, I'm just gonna ride in the group and not sprint, but I just couldn't help myself. I had to sprint, and I had it. So great teamwork. Also, look at that, 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. Oh, great stuff.
Go ahead, Frank.
Well, 12 thousands in the victory, and then the next 3 people separated by 0.02 of a second. So that's a
All
very
calculated.
close sprint indeed.
Calculate,
Listen,
Frank.
listen to Timothy. I'm dialed in, man. I've got the calibration down to 1/1000th of a second.
Easy.
I know when to go on my timing.
Yet, still no celebration, Timothy.
Well, because I did. Yeah, I thought Tim won. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Well, then it wasn't.
Yeah, well,
calibrated.
when you tell your teammates, "Oh, I'm not sprinting. I'm just going to sit in," and then you sprint and you beat them all to the line, you've got to sort of stay reserved. Just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a sprinter. I couldn't control myself."
I was pulling the sprint and yeah, but they didn't come over, so I don't know.
You're supposed to slow down when you're the lead out guy, Timothy. You're supposed to move off and slow down. Just thought I would provide some.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
analyst
Cheers.
advice.
Next level strategies being shown around here, or just strategies. Timothy, what's it been like to be racing today? You've done one zone already. Now you get ready for another.
We're just having fun. Yeah, we're just having fun. We'll see on this race. It's just echelons on echelons. So 14 kilometers an hour wind. I really want to do this one because last time there were some technical difficulties. So I really want to see how this one races. But yeah, we're just gonna have some fun.
I like it, Timothy. Just gonna have some fun as we get back in. So one of the computers here is having a bit of trouble getting onto the track, but the other one is ready. So Frank Echelon, you hear Timothy? He wants to get on. He wants to try it. It's such an interesting track because it's pretty straightforward, but in terms of technicality, I mean, it's difficult. It's really difficult to master this track.
These courses that look simple are just deceptive as heck, especially when you throw in the wind. This one has a tight corner, and you can fall asleep and go too hard into the corner. And there's a lot that happens on these tracks. With the wind, it's easy to go down as you fight for position left and right. So everybody's upping their skill levels, right? And so people will sit half wheeling you, hoping you don't notice, don't check your rear view camera, and whatnot. So all of these things, you need to be on your toes all the time.
So we're just watching the highlight once again. The racing begins in 10 seconds time here, as now the riders make it to the start line. How will they take on the track that is Echelon? Here we go. Here we go once more as Timothy is looking around, trying to look further back. It looks like he's not going to get off to a start. Sebastian Kuhn off the front. Now, further back, Casey Shum is back for a round more. He's back for a second round. So Casey, I did speak to him earlier. He said that he would only race one zone tonight, but being cheated out of a race on Echelon, he wants to try it out. So he is in here. Also see Kayla, we see Tim, we see Beth. Frank, I think the Zone L here will get a lot more competitive than the last one, because for some of these, it's a rematch. You're having 3, you have 4, you have your entire, bracketed session finale, like, riders in here.
Yes, and so I think maybe the primary reason Casey is back is this one, which looks deceptively simple, is not. And they sort of discovered in the last race that there was some, interesting dynamics at play with this big wind. And so you want to kind of figure out how this is going to go on Saturday, because, this will be a race early on. It'll be, the second race of the day, one with a, bigger scoring multiplier than a 1x for the no-skill event that starts us off. And you're going to want to finish this one fairly high so that you have a good chance of moving on.
And the reason why it matters on Saturdays, we have 8 races on Saturday where the best, I can't remember how many it is, but the best go on through guaranteed to Sunday. And then those who don't qualify, the best 12 go on through directly to Sunday, and then the second best, they have to go down, those that don't qualify, into another lower bracket and fight on through to come up. So that direct qualification, I mean, we saw how much it meant for Tim. We saw how much the seeding mattered in the last tournament, and now in this one on the upcoming weekend, you really want to make sure that you ease your way through to the finale, because that way you up your chances of winning the money at the very pointy end.
Yes, and you see Casey here. This is very interesting. So he's gotten in the middle. He's probably getting a big draft here, but he's also landlocked, right? I mean, he's locked in, and so when it comes time to sprint, he's locked in. And so this is the kind of thing that you want to test. Is it going to be easy to get out? And you see he is able to affect that change. Interestingly, I'm very surprised that Cycling Hub let him out. I figured they would ride him that way all the way to the finish line, knowing Cycling Hub, so that Casey couldn't come out from around Homer. You see Casey motioning, Homer, you need to go harder, man.
He does hear the call,
whole
though.
guttering
He does go
thing.
to the front.
Yes. Well, Homer's a good guy, right? He's I'll ride with Homer any day of the week and twice on Sundays. So, a lot of fun here. And you see Casey, Homer might have gotten lucky there that Casey slowed him down. So otherwise, he might have slid out in that corner and wrecked.
But nonetheless, he's still in there. We see Tim. He just took through the corner there. He didn't really need to brake. He slid on through and knew exactly where he can come through. 5th, 6th lane on through. But then Tim gets blocked. Is that Quinton putting on a block on Casey?
I think it was. Yeah, absolutely. So hard blocking going on there.
Oh, I'm not happy.
Yeah, so the rivalry is setting up for Saturday in a big way. Let's just put it that way. This should be really interesting come Saturday, how this race is going to play out.
We only saw very limited blocking with Jonathan Giron, with Tim doing it to Ben. It was a very influential block on Ben. I dare say that it may actually have been the one that forced Ben to go out in the end, spending the energy he had to do. But seeing how Quinton put that block on Casey, it's going to get spicy. I think all gloves are off.
Well, and I think, it's different. I think when you're in 4-up, if you block somebody, you're also taking yourself out, right? And, certainly there isn't a lot of opportunity to get back. But when on the 8-up racing, there's a little bit more perhaps, because you could take 4 people out, right, with a block, a little bit like Quinton did there, and then everybody else will work to get back. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays this weekend.
It will, as we come through one more time. This race is being raced. Everybody wanting to win. As Sebastian goes down. If we get that on the replay. So this is not a low skill event. If you do overlap the wheels, if you overcook a corner, you will go down. If you see on Casey's screen there from above, you can see Sebastian goes down in the corner there as he overlaps the wheels and he crashes down. So the Destroyer is having a bit of issues with crashes, but when he stays upright, he's lethal.
Yeah, but this is invaluable for him, right? That's just going to serve as a reminder to be super careful in the corners. I mentioned the corners before this race started. You sort of, have this long straightaway, and it's, lulls you to sleep. And in terms of how, what the tight radius is on this corner, and so that'll serve him well this Saturday. He'll know, hey, you know what? Let's be a little bit more conservative in the corners. If I'm super conservative, I can't crash. Maybe I got to do a little dig out of the corner, but I don't just disappear.
So when Sebastian wakes up on Saturday morning, he's got his plain rye bread out. He's got his water only half full. He's like, oh yeah, that corner and echelon, I've got to be careful about that one. So he goes in to take a bite.
It's week-old dry bread.
Best kind.
So just right. Crunchy and everything, because he does like it to simulate the bones of small children while he's eating. And so
some poor kid
that's
is
why he
gonna watch
prefers
this
it.
and go, Mom, he doesn't actually eat small children, does he? we just want to establish he absolutely does. So stay clear.
That's just cruel. Casey making a gambit here off the front.
And Tim goes
Tim
with
is
him,
answering.
so it's a weight lifted that gets used there from both of them, and they're marking each other. I think this race between the two of them, they talk a lot, the bragging rights are on the line, they'll work together, but this sprint here, even though it's just a practice race, this may as well be for all the money.
Well, I think, it was clear that while Casey was happy with the help for Christmas gifts this December, he really wanted to do a little bit better. And so I think that tells you, when you finish third and you want to do a little bit better, that tells you that you're going to be you're in it to win it, as they say. And so I think Casey is just going to try and get into Tim's head here a little bit, and vice versa, right? And I think that's what you see with the whole Cycling Hub thing, right? Not only is there sort of, the physical competition, but there's this sort of mental warfare that's going on in the game as well.
Kayla takes advantage of this. She comes back. She's coming back from a bit of an injury, but now she's back in the racing. She's on the wheel of Tim. And so Casey attacking off the front into the wind here. He is trying to get away. So 42 k's an hour. And we've only got 1 kilometer left. Further back, Quinton Molinez has used his power-ups. He's trying to come back, and he is speeding. Look at your top left-hand corner. The momentum that Quinton and Casey doesn't quite get the block. Now it's Kayla's turn. She's got racer's edge. She's got weight lifted. She saw what Quinton did, and she wants to do the same, and they're flying. This is like takeoff, and Quinton goes down.
Kayla just owned Quinton. Quinton went for the block, and Kayla was like, sayonara, see you later. This is going to be my victory.
Will Tim go for his power combination? Now is the time to do it, but the way he's looking around, I think he's happy to forfeit this one, not go for it, as Kayla comes on through, forces a mistake out of Quinton, and first win back here for Kayla. Big race back, good for the confidence boost, and seeing her fly on by, it's good to have old Kayla back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is gonna, really stoke her. For multiple reasons. Great gameplay, great physical effort, great use of power-ups. This is going to serve her well going into Saturday.
Homer Thompson crosses the line in third. Oh, he almost crashes. But Homer Thompson at 197. Well done, Homer. Good racing, catching Casey Shum on the finish line. But I think Casey's just happy that Quinton went down in that last race. And so he crosses. Beth is up next with Quinton. Sebastian is further down. But that is echelon. I can't wait, because this race, it's going to be technical. There's going to be teamwork. There's going to be blocking. There's going to be power-ups. We saw there just how important using weightlifted and racer's edge combined can be.
Oh, absolutely. And that one is going to be fraught with tension on Saturday. It's going to be fun to watch.
Now, Lakeview Lanes is up next, and we last time up, it was Velocity Vixen who made Allison eat cement. Then it was Casey's turn to eat concrete, and now we'll see who will be laying down on the tarmac in this race. Can Velocity Vixen do it again? But they've got competition here in Lakeview Lanes. So halfway through the racing in Zone L, and we've got 2 more races, Lakeview Lanes and Fantastic Alien Sea. I hope you're enjoying the show, and for those who still got any peeps left for snacks, make sure you get a refill ahead of next weekend's racing. But congratulations, Kayla. That victory, it looked like you were taking advantage of the other races looking at each other, and you just snuck right on by.
Yeah, I saw everybody just kind of, Quentin came through with his power-ups, and then there was Tim, and there was just a lot going on. I thought everyone was just looking at each other, so I still had my 2 power-ups left. Was trying to hold off on them and then wait till the last lap, so that really worked out. And the Razor's Edge and weightlifted just gave me that boost, and 60km/h speed to the finish line is it's nice. So that worked out really nicely.
Now, we saw you race in the tournament, and you were in the group of death, and you really stood up for yourself, but you were missing that tiny bit of edge that you've had before. Can you feel that's coming back now to you? You're finding your rhythm again?
Yeah, it feels really good. I got some rest in over the holiday break. Rode this Saturday, but yeah, I'm feeling much better and rested, and still going to try to not go as hard during Tuesday and Thursday races, just with the grand finale coming up this weekend. Just trying not to push myself too hard with coming back, but I'm feeling a lot better and excited to see how the legs will perform.
Well, so are we, Kayla, so can't wait to see what you bring on Saturday, but congratulations on the last stage victory there. Now, we got Tim in the broadcast for Sonel. He's back in. I think he's got some audio issues as we're looking through the audio on our side. There doesn't seem to be anything connected, so we'll just skip on by to the next one. But Casey, you got a bit animated there in the previous race. A bit anger coming on through. How did you not like the block, or what did you think?
Yeah, Quentin's blocking me, playing the gutter. I mean, him and Tim played the gutter in the first round, too. We just lost connection before they got to fully do it. So, yeah, I mean, he threw the block on me. So if Cycling Hub was on my wheel, I think my bike needs tuned up. The brake's rubbing or something. I mean, every time I quit pedaling, I'd go backwards. So, yeah. We'll see how this goes. It's a shame he knocked the skin off his elbow again from this weekend. I know it was already sore, so he went down again.
Oh, the mind games that are being played. Casey Shum, you are naughty. Well, I can't wait to see what that brings. Thank you for the interview, Casey. I'll go to Quentin, but unfortunately he's declined.
That brings coal in your stocking, if you're naughty.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not on speaking terms with Santa Claus just yet, but we'll see if we get there before Christmas.
Oh, I've been on speaking terms with Santa Claus for a very, very long time.
Oh, I like this. I like this dynamic that's unfolding because Quentin specifically said, I do not want to be on the broadcast today. And Casey's on here. He's chirping all this stuff. Quentin doesn't have a chance to chirp back.
Yeah, I think Casey is taking full advantage of this. We're all having a bit of fun as we get sort of a break, right? We're doing some practice here, but we get a break from the high pressure, high tension, high anxiety racing of last weekend, and more so to come this weekend.
Now, Sebastian says, what break? What is this? Am I not supposed to tear your legs off? So he just goes straight to the front.
Well, that is Sebastian, right? Like if I have a choice, if I'm in a 3-up breakaway, I want Ellison and Sebastian with me because I'm pretty sure I can just ride their wheels the whole time and they don't care.
Oh, it's amazing to watch here. We've got a group here coming up. On this course, this track, there's an 11-kilometer-an-hour wind. Varies depending on where you are on the track. Tim's on the left, and Sebastian does not care. He stays on the right as Tim moves on over. But further back, the blocking seems to continue amongst the teams there. Kayla, you've got Quentin, you got Timothy. Definitely a bit of a edginess going on.
Well, and I think we should also do an over-under on Kim on how many more times he'll have to race before he acquires a victory. I'd like to start it off at like 297 more races.
Oh, I thought you were going to come up with like 2.
Oh no, you gotta give the dev types their due.
Oh, Kim Fairchild, I believe in Kim. Kim, the way you win this race is when you feel like you're at your absolute limit, you push a bit harder. Then when you push a bit harder, if you just push a bit harder than that, then you're going as hard as Sebastian Kuhn is going. And then I think you have a chance here.
Wait, we want to keep the developers alive. So Kim, ignore all of that advice. Use power-ups and stay alive and keep the heart ticking.
Oh, I love it. It's always good fun to see Kim Fairchild. He's been there's a block. Oh, Timothy having to use that is next level. I think Timothy Tamont used his uncrashable, and you see him taunting Casey as Casey goes down again. Oh, Casey trying to block in Timothy, but the uncrashable power-up getting the better of him there. I think if we do have Timothy on audio, what happened there?
Hello?
Hello?
Not sure. My keyboard was stuck. I couldn't move. No idea what happened. But why is Casey with the bots? What happened?
Casey, do you want to answer why you're with the bots?
Nah, I just I forgot that Timothy only wrecks when he's leading.
Oh, Frank.
Oh, we're
Is it
gonna
just
have
me or is
to
it
call
hot
in
here?
counselors. I'm gonna talk to my daughter, and we're gonna see if we can call in some counselors to make people play nice in the game.
Oh, Kim Fairchild goes down. He's
Oh,
one of the
Kim! Kim, you were up at the front. You were in the top 5, man. Did I say 297? Maybe it's 350.
Oh, don't make it 400, Kim, I believe. But meanwhile, Sebastian and Tim, this is a rematch of the bracket tournament finale here. Tim chooses to go across to the right. This is fun. This gives a bit of a flashback of what could have been as the two riders. And both of these, again, it's similar to Casey and Tim. They want to win. They have this killer instinct. Every time they get in this situation, they just want to put it to the other rider.
Yeah, well, and you kind of want to test, right? If you're Sebastian, how is that virus progressing with Tim, and where's he going to sit? Sebastian, the metronome, the destroyer, looks to be on good legs, looks to be in good form, and so right now I think Tim also wants to see, well, just how much form does he really have?
And now we're seeing Sebastian. I do like the kid. The more I look at that kid, the more it just screams Sebastian. Now, path of least resistance. He's got to be careful. He's going to slide out here. And you see him braking. He's trying to avoid it. And now he knows it. And Tim goes, what are you doing, mate?
Well, I think he was just trying to psych him out for Saturday. I think that's what the Destroyer was doing there. See, I'm probably going to make a mistake. He won't be making that mistake on Saturday.
No, I don't think so either. So we bring it up here on the highlight. And so what happened there is you do have 3 path of least resistance. They're great to use. You can see Tim here. He knows what's about to happen. Eyes wide open. And Sebastian goes, oh no. And then when he goes down, the 2 facial reactions, they both know, what are you thinking? And then Sebastian, monkey behind the wheel, as he once more today finds himself crashing down.
Yeah, the personalities that are coming through on stream, it's just phenomenal. As we grow and grow, these people are going to be stars in their own right. Oh, how did Kayla get out of that one?
Let's get that.
Yes, I don't know how she got out of that one, but she barely made it in time.
Timothy's waving. He's taunting Kayla prior to the turn, and Kayla accelerates while Timothy is taunting, and then she gets away. So, well done to Kayla.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she was done for there, and that's a valuable lesson that she'll pick up for Saturday as well. You have to think ahead. You need to know where the next barriers are, and like in this space where they're out in the open, be able to get in a lane that makes you safe. And that's sort of the next level that you play on Cade, and it'll be very interesting to see how that goes forward.
Oh, we're having a great battle on the 5th and 6th place developing here between Kim Fairchild and Kim Jaldesay. Kim has just used Uncrashable and Path of Least Resistance. We're about a quarter or a third through the racing here. Which of these two will perform the best?
Well, these are both developers, on the team, and we love to have them out, racing, eating their own dog food, so to speak, as well. And it sure looks like Kim Jall's about to own Kim and not look back. So Kim better get on his horse and ride.
Kinjala's had her victories. I mean, she's won on Cityscape New York, and she's won on Fantastic Alien Sea before, so she is no stranger from winning races. And now, with her and Kim, they're both duking it out further down, and I'm sure they're both fighting to have that bragging rights at the water cooler. But in the meanwhile, Kayla and Timothy getting caught by Sebastian and Kinjal here. It's good to see the rivalry that is Kayla and Timothy, or I'm not sure it's much of a rivalry. Back then it used to be Kayla walking the floor, but Timothy's coming back now. And these two, I mean, they've been a developing story throughout the last year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. What I notice here, if I look at Kayla, she still looks like she's, got a bit of recovery to come, which ought to scare the living daylights out of a lot of people. What I've also noticed is, mentally she's back onto the aggressive foot. For a while, when I think she wasn't feeling well, she got very defensive in how she would approach it. She'd, follow wheels and that sort of thing. And you see here in the last race and in this race, she's definitely back on the front foot and much more aggressive racing, which I think is going to serve her exceedingly well in this coming week and then in the next season.
See, Frank, I just want you to know that you caused this. I just saw a post from Vibeke Bertram over in the CVRcade Riders Forum. She says, "Okay, peeps, question mark, question mark, question mark. Why don't we have that in Denmark? We only have something more or less the same, but it's covered in chocolate, and I don't like chocolate. I want some, where can I buy them?" I mean, what's happening?
We're going to have to be, CVRcade blows budget sending peeps around the world.
Oh, well, on the trip, I'd like to request a stop. But yes, Vibeke, as a fellow Dane, I'd never heard of that either. But now, Kin Joel unfortunately goes down. She goes down again as she uses Path of Least Resistance to come on through. And Kim Fairchild goes, "You know what? I got a chance now." As he passes Kin Joel. She's at 200 equalized heart rate.
Oh, yes. So Kim is like, "I will take the Developer Cup." And Kin Joel says, "No, you won't." I thought I was going to distract Kim and he was going to crash there. But he does successfully block Homer. So that was pretty funny. I'm not sure that he blocked Homer or Homer just ran into the back of him.
Where is Rene Valadis when you need him? I want to see the complete Developers Cup. I think that's where the real prestige is. What is the CVRcade World Cup? I want to see Rene Valadis. Rene's good. He just struggles to race all 4 events, of course. The executive commissioner of everything here on the platform is now... We have just half the racing left here. 2 laps remaining. Sebastian, Timothy, Kayla. Meanwhile, Tim Fulford is doing Tim Fulford kind of things. He is riding away on the front once more. And if Tim is healthy come this weekend, I'd be scared.
Well, it appears you need to be scared even when he's not healthy. So I think one of the things that Tim does really, really well is I think everybody right now would be saying, "Oh, his power is, his endurance, but really I think the key for him is how he goes through corners. And, you gain, a quarter second a corner, and there's a lot of corners, right? How in there are 10 corners here, so you gain 2.5 seconds per lap, without any expended energy. That's big, and I think that's really where Tim has an advantage. He's really comfortable going through the corners. I think Sebastian is as well. I think they're the 2 best, and guess what? They finished 1-2 last weekend. So cornering ability is certainly a skill that you want to work on and develop because it makes a big difference.
Now, apropos of Sebastian Kuhn, we do see him here. He got caught in a bit of a blockade that happened, so Kayla inadvertently looked like she had a bit of a dropout, put a block it rocket maneuver on Timothy, and when Timothy saw it, he went from 40 kilometers an hour down to 32, and he kind of looked over his shoulder, was afraid Sebastian would come by, and so he continued, he passed the block it rocket maneuver on to Sebastian, and he's now down here in 4th, but the block it rocket, I mean, he is one that when he gets it, when he understands the game, Frank, he's gonna be good. But because what we saw this weekend, like quite frankly, I was quite disappointed. I have been his biggest supporter, but I think he had more crashes than points.
Oh, that's cruel. Well, I think what happened to him was 2 things. One, doesn't know the game as well, and then you sort of up the anxiety level, the tension level, the pressure level, and you're amped and you go a little bit harder into a corner. And that's what I saw. He was just amped and not sort of controlling that yet because he hasn't been on the platform long enough. And that caused him numerous times of eating concrete.
Oh, all that talking of food and now we say eating concrete is not good, guys. It is not good. It's making people around the world very hungry. But Kayla is actually putting the hurt on here on Timothy. All the laughing going around, all the mocking, all the taunting and the forcing of mistakes on other riders. Timothy, 194 there for a second. He's feeling it. I think he very much wants to beat Kayla here to the finish line, but he's got to be careful.
Well, we call this, when the red mist envelops you, and you know that you probably ought to, go a little bit easier today, but you're like, you know what? I'm not going to let her win. And she's going, you know what? I'm not going to let him win. And so, they'll end up going stupid hard to the finish here. And I think Kayla's really starting to feel much, much better. And she's starting to feel her oats. How'd you like that one? And so I think she's going to really come into her own here in time for this weekend.
That was fantastic from you, Frank. You've been on fire today as we see Timothy Tamont trying to get back on. It'd be interesting to see how much he is willing to burn here energy-wise to catch back up, because Timothy, he's going to come on through here. 2 seconds, 4 seconds is up. I know he's chatting, he said in the stream as well, he's chatting to his teammates, and now he attacks Pathley's resistance. Wind at his back, so he changes that tailwind or headwind into a tailwind, and he comes on back here. He's got to hope that Pathley's resistance runs out, and it does. Woo.
Yeah, great gameplay there. I think if we went to Timothy, he'd be like, I knew it. I've tested this.
The same person who did
this.
not know that Tim initially won the race. He was very comfortable winning.
But I think Timothy, gamer. I think probably before cyclist type, and so he's gotten very, very comfortable with the game, and those skill levels and that confidence will serve him well. Look, he just did it again just to show us, right?
He's like,
you gotta love that
Kuhn
confidence.
did it here. Oh, I can do it better. So.
Oh, and Kim goes down, letting Kinjal back into the Developers Cup. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Somewhere,
but Kinjal's got a lot of road to make up.
Kim is just going, oh, guys, where's the finish line? I can't do it no more. I just want to finish.
Well, this is a long race, and all I'm thinking about as a team leader is, oh, great, Kim's going to be worthless the rest of the day on the development front.
Oh, well, I was thinking, all he's going to think of for the rest of the day is peeps and where to get them. I mean, that seems to be the only thing on people's mind. I mean, how many peeps can you buy for $5,000?
I just have to say this. We're going to have to reach out to peeps. We've got to get them. If no sponsorship, at least get a representative to show up. And we're getting them into different countries. We're shipping their product over. Oh, Timothy with the block on Kayla. That was brutal. I think Kayla's anger level just went up by a factor of 10.
I think that block, though, from Timothy is smart, but it's also not smart, because with Kayla, she's going to go, right, if that's how we're going to play, I wasn't going to go hard, but watch me now as she goes through Timothy, and I think she's just going to look to lay it in, but Timothy goes up to 1100, and he's trying to box her in, but who is that? Is that Casey being lapped, who is now going to get in the way out here? It could, but it is Casey. I would look out for Timothy. Timothy is getting his own medicine back as Casey Shum is just in the way here of Timothy Tamont. I'm loving this.
Oh my. This is a dish best served cold. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, Tim goes on to win it. He wins it by 2 seconds. Kayla takes second place. Timothy Tamont meets his destiny. And then Sebastian Kuhn comes over. He's fighting with Nils here. Uncrashable, both of them. We're getting a good sprint finish here to the line. As both of them wanting to win. This was second and fourth in the bracketed tournament finale. And now they duke it out again. Quinton comes over in 6th. I love that from Casey. That's the hardest Casey has gone today, and it wasn't to win a track, it was to take Timothy out of the track.
But there will be debate, and I know it was all in good fun today, but somebody will complain that he wasn't on the same lap, Timothy. But I think Casey was just having a bit of fun there, and Casey doesn't normally block anyway. But there's a lot of head games going on in the run up to Saturday. I thought the practice events would have a little bit of a different tenor. But I think they're going to increase the anxiety level. I thought they would sort of reduce the anxiety level, but I think they're doing quite the opposite.
I mean, there's going to be so much build-up tension come Saturday from everything we've seen today as Timothy waving to the camera. I mean, the storylines are just going to continue. They've been building and building and building, and we're coming up towards this crescendo now. But we do have Tim. I can see he's got audio now, so it's good to chat. Tim, you come off the victory. You've won the Bracket Session tournament. What's it like to be back on the bike now? Are you virus-free, or is it still lingering in the body?
That's kind of what tonight's about. I've had 2 days completely off the bike. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place of having really fresh legs, but feeling like poo. So when Seb went down, I sort of set myself as a quick little 12-minute test to see if I could control my heart rate, but stay ahead. And I managed that, so I think I'm over it. Still a bit bunged up and a bit tired. So yeah, I'm all right. I'm not feeling 100%, but we'll see how Thursday goes. Probably rest Friday, and then see what I can do on Saturday.
Now, today has been all about snacks. We've heard from everybody. We've yet to hear from you, Tim. What's your snack game like?
My snack game is A+. I am about 85% snack, as you are more than aware. I'm basically a human dustbin of food, so I'm more of I like a chip and a dip, but I treat my snacks much like I treat a meal. You have a starter, then you move on to more of a main course, and you finish with something sweet. So I prefer 3-course snacks as well as 3-course meals.
Wow, that is the most in-depth answer of the day. I'm not sure if I like that or just Peeps more. I mean, both eye-opening, but thank you, Tim. Frank, what do you make of a 3-course snack?
Next level snacking. And I happen to like chips myself and dips. And so that's the first guy who's actually made me salivate for things I can't eat this week. And so now I just don't even want to talk to Tim anymore. That's next level snacking.
That's how you get off an interview, just like that. And we get ready here. We see everybody. I can see them on their phones. They're sitting around. I see Timothy wants me to go to him. Timothy? In the end, you got Casey coming back just for you.
Yeah, I think he forgot he had to do another lap there. I don't know what happened. I'm glad he finished now, but yeah. No, for real, that was real fun racing. Massive kudos to Kayla. I thought I had her, but she got out somehow. And if she didn't move an extra lane, she would have actually made me crash, beating me in my own game. Oh, I was really lucky there. Massive kudos to Kayla for that one.
Well, Crash Meister Timothy, I think your taunting game, I think you would have had her if you had kept both hands on the handlebar and tried
Probably
not to prematurely celebrate things that are not coming your way. Well, I'll let you get back for the last race of the day, Timothy. Let you chat to the team. But I mean, it's good to hear. Like you thought, Frank, that maybe Timothy wouldn't be too satisfied with Casey's behavior, but he seems to embrace it.
No, like I said, I think everyone realizes that the spirit of today's racing is fun. We're certainly having fun
Yes.
commentating. Sort of a different style, and I think this is just what the doctor ordered because after the level of tension for 7 hours on Saturday, and that's coming back even bigger this fall. Honestly, I thought maybe that it couldn't be. Right, because we had a great weekend this past weekend, but I can already start to feel it. Right, people are, looking to blow off a little steam here, have a little fun, test the legs here and there. But what this is really setting up for is everybody is got their eye on the prize. I just love cliches, and so looking towards this weekend, and boy, the nerves and the adrenaline. and the cortisol sort of pumping into the system on Saturday morning and Sunday morning is going to be huge, not only for the racers, but for those of us who are watching it as well.
Oh, Casey sees Timothy and Tim up the road, and he's like, "You can't just let Cycling Hub keep getting away with it. Somebody get back onto the horse." And Casey, what's your pleading call to everybody racing?
I'll pull them back to them, but they won't stay on my wheel, so I'll go beat them on my own.
Well, good luck going to beat them on your own. But when you say that and broadcast it across the broadcast, Timothy, both listening in, they're not gonna make that easy.
Well, this will be interesting. So, does Tim sort of wait for Timothy to get back on his wheel, or does he leave him, sort of as a dead fish, for Casey to catch, on the race? I think this is actually a good moment for Timothy to sort of put the hammer down and see if he can stay away from Casey. Practice his time trialing skills as well.
Timothy's shaking his head. Right now, he's only got one thing in his head, and it's, can I block Casey? Can I take Casey out one more time? You can see him smiling because he knows it's true. He's like, I
thought it was going to be... I thought the only thing that was on Timothy's mind was snacks.
Well, that's a given. But I think for Timothy...
What are those things he eats called?
Oh, which ones? I mean, there's so many. Sorry, Timothy. Oh.
I don't know. It's some Danish thing. I mean, I know there was the waffle and honey one, but it's the other one that he normally eats, the pastry thing or whatever.
Oh, that was the Dutch thing. That took us a whole day of going to Peter, to Joyce, to Timothy, to Quinton to ask if that's a real thing. But if you are Timothy and you weigh up your options as either, I could do a grueling time trial to really beat Casey fair and square, or I could just block him. I could have fun. So.
Oh, I have this grand Ebelskiver story. I'm probably saying it wrong, but great story. Ebelskivers, right?
Amazing.
So, but here, the greatest thing ever. So about 10 years ago, I went to Denmark with my father-in-law, and now for the previous 20 years, he had been feeding us these things every time we went to his house, telling us how great they were, and so on and so forth. We get off the boat, we hit Denmark, and we go to like the first bakery shop, and the lady's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." We had to go to like 4 or 5 bakeries before they knew what we were talking about. I gave him so much razzing for that for such a long time, but those are kind of like old school peeps, by the way, for those of you who are out there, like a fat blob fried with sugar on top. So definitely something that a lot of people like, with like jelly filling. It's just amazing
it's
stuff.
Amazing. Like if you were to find the Forest of Eden, like the Garden of Eden, that's where you just have Ebelskivers like everywhere. I mean, that's just a given fact. I mean, those things are just a godsend. Like the only reason I go home for Christmas is to get those. Like, I'm like, hey, nice to see your family. Where's the food?
Wow. Wow. Your sister, your mom.
Oh, they do
they
have
just
some
were mortified.
cute dogs.
Right. Yeah, whatever you do, don't let them see this highlight. By the way, I don't come home to see you guys. I come home for the jelly-filled fat blobs with sugar on top.
I'm sure if we did the route and everybody was 100% honest and we go, so you come home to your parents for Christmas, what do you like the most? Is it the fact that you don't have to cook? Oh, yes. Merry Christmas.
My son, I love it when he comes home. He comes home, he's in his room, and he texts one word to Kathy, right? Hungry. Right? Right? Now, here's the amazing thing. She gets up and she makes him stuff, right? If I text her hungry, I'm like sleeping outside. Definitely better to be a son than a husband if you want to text hungry. That's all I'm saying.
For anyone listening, I would not recommend texting Kathy hungry and then attempting to see what happens to you. I think that is a privilege reserved. Oh, that is hilarious. I mean, that's next level, Frank.
Oh, Frank is great. He is a man of few words. So if you ask him how he's doing, great. And if you ask him, well, it could be hungry as well, I guess. But I learned very early on, this is how you hack a marriage. I learned very early on that if I wanted something to eat, I would just go, and we like the same things, me and my son. I would just go to him and say, Frank, don't you feel like some enchiladas tonight? And he'd be like, oh, yeah. And then he'd go ask and we'd get them. But so that's how you hack a marriage. Don't ask yourself.
Oh.
Get your child to do it. There was some interesting, look at Casey, bye-bye. Would you guys stop talking about families and Hubble skeevers and let's talk some racing here because I'm owning Timothy.
The interesting point is I've seen Casey now in the 2 zones. He's practiced this exact move. So if I'm a racer, I take note. That's the point where Casey has really been trying out the power-ups and he's been using them there. I've seen it in warm-ups. I've seen it now in every lap. And there he pulled it on Timothy. It's just the right amount of speed to not slide out, but to keep the speed on the ascent because inertia, it's such a difficult power-up to use on Fantastic Alien Sea because if you use it on the descent, you'll crash. If you use it on the ascent, you're not going quick enough for it to matter. And Casey seems to have cracked it there with the power-ups.
Well, look, a number of these guys are just next level, skills and understanding, and even how to get by Timothy there, and the sort of the interplay between changing lanes and people learning the skill of how to change the lanes so that it makes it very, very difficult to be blocked. All of that is really coming to the fore, and while we're off having fun today, in a little bit more relaxed attitude. Like I said, I think it's what the doctor ordered, but this is, they're just sort of, showing off the skills, right? Tim on the front, going through the corners at, optimum speeds, and Casey using power-ups to his advantage. I would probably give a little bit of the nod to use of power-ups to Casey. Tim's good at it as well. I think he kind of saves them to the end too often. But he would counter that often pays dividends for him. So I think Casey's a little bit better at using them at the most opportune moments in the race, which I think is not always the end. And but I think Tim is maybe definitely better at going through the corners and corner speed. So that'll be something to watch on Saturday. How that develops. Will the slightly better power-up play of Casey win the day, or will it be the slightly better cornering ability of Tim that wins the day?
Worth mentioning today, the rock star of the day so far, Homer Thompson. I know you're not streaming in today, Homer, but I've seen you throughout the tracks here, and you've been there, you've been fighting, and you've been up there like with the greatest on the platform. 196 equalized heart rate, 200 now, 183 on the scoreboard. Homer Thompson is actually currently 3rd overall. I think that's his best performance ever, and I mean, this is good to watch.
Well, we've definitely got to get Homer to stream regularly because he is absolutely a fan favorite. The crowd goes wild whenever we go to Homer, and I don't know what it is about him. If we put me on stream, people kind of get that sour look in their face, but he just gets adoration and screaming fans, and Homer's got a unique look. I'm gonna chalk it up to that, but. People really do like to watch Homer and watch him race, and Homer has great capabilities, and I think that we're just going to see that more and more develop over time. I think probably Homer doesn't ebb and flow as much as some of the others, and so maybe isn't always at peak freshness, which changes things a bit. But like. One of the things that I heard Tim talking about is this virus has made him sort of take it easy. That should, strike fear into the hearts of his opponents because a well-rested Tim is going to be something to have to deal with for sure.
I think the real question everyone wonders is, does Homer Thompson also like peeps? Or is this just a, East Coast thing? Well, I guess Arizona isn't really East Coast. Well,
he likes peeps with goatees.
Oh, I mean, can you blame him? Homer Thompson, great guy, always so polite. When you see him in the CV Arcade Writers Forum, always very articulated, always very friendly. It's good to see him doing well. Third place on the podium today. That'd be amazing to watch here as Tim Fulford just casually flexing. He's done his job today. We're coming to the end here of Tuesday's racing now, Frank. Thursday is going to be the technical day because we have Dust Bowl Crit, we have Country Rally, I think we have Tempo Run and Dark Matter Velo. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. I think we'll have a lot of fun. I think we're going to have to talk pre-race and post-race meals, and maybe just favorite meals. Like, what is everybody's favorite meal? I must be hungry this week, but we'll have some fun because I don't think people are going to go. I think maybe one race, they'll sort of open it up and make sure that the engines are online, the pistons are firing, but I think also. They'll be backing way off, but they'll run through the courses, sort of parade mentality, to just sort of see how that goes. And wow, we've inspired Homer. I think he's going to pass Timothy here.
Oh, I can't wait to see what Timothy's going to do here. Is he going to fight Homer to the end, or is he going to let him pass on through? Homer is going to need a bit more luck to come on through. You can see Timothy. Timothy wants to go on audio once more as our third co-commentator today. What's up, Timothy?
No, I just let him back to kind of practice his finale here.
Okay,
But
so what are you
he
practicing?
just overbraked way too hard, so yeah. I'll let him back one more time. Come on.
Well, and I think this is really interesting. So I'm glad that Timothy is sharing there. So he used this as an opportunity to sort of practice side-by-side racing as you set up for the sprint. And, like that's the kind of thing, everybody should take note of. This is how you become much better at the platform. Oh, that was next level.
That's just
next
mean.
level. That was brilliant. You could call it mean. But that was certainly brilliant as well. So, amazingly fun stuff there.
Timothy certainly enjoying himself today as he toys with Homer Thompson towards the end. Homer does end on the podium at the end of the day, so congratulations, Homer, on a great performance. Sebastian Kuhn with the bike throw as he gets ready to have more. And then the Developer Bowl, Kim Fairchild, everybody in 7th place. We bow to thee, sir. Congratulations. You seem to have won that one, but come back Thursday where you need to defend your crown, I believe, or hope that we might see Renee Valadez get in amongst the racing. But Frank, that's all she wrote for today. Now, for next week, I thought people do a bit of show and tell. I'd like to see people's favorite snacks, but I'd like to see them on the stream. Or foods.
Absolutely. I'll be eating a steak, virtually only.
Wait, does this mean we're going to have video of Frank Garcia?
Steak with a side of Peeps. No, maybe I should, get my hair cut and get myself a shave and just put my CVRcade cap on. Maybe that's what I'll do. But we'll see if I can convince myself to put my ugly mug out there for people to look at.
Rounding up the day, let's just hit the rounds, get some thoughts from people. Timothy, quick final thoughts from you. 4 tracks, what do you make of them ahead of the tournament on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we got some good practice in. Well, I would like to done Echelon, but first we had some technical problems with the server or something, and then I had some technical problems in second Omnium, so I didn't race that one. So I'm a bit bummed by that, but yeah, it was a lot of fun today. Like, we only race for fun. It's a nice refresher to just race for fun. And I just, 8 races back to back, that's gonna be, like, I felt it hard today, and we had 20 minutes of rest in between. It's gonna be hell.
Well, thank you, Timothy. I look forward to your so-called hell on Saturday when I can stand here and watch it. Tim took another victory here today. Tim, you got a chance to reconnaissance the tracks with the wind. Anything of note you take with you for the qualifiers and the quarterfinals on Saturday?
Echelon's going to be fun. What's usually a low skill or no skill, that's very high skill. So that'll be good. I mean, fantastic alien. I think we've done this before. It's tough because it's constantly changing. Late view lanes, that was the first time I've ever raced it, so I had to get used to that. And then electric rush, that's just all out. So good little fitness illness test. We'll slowly build up to Thursday, and then we'll see what we can do on Saturday.
Thank you, Tim. Let's get Kale Laguna's thoughts on this one. You had a bit of a back and forth with Timothy. He tried to put you up against the barriers. Is that something you'll be looking to pay back for later?
Oh yeah, certainly. I'm glad we got the races in today and we're able to replicate the ones going into this weekend, because it's things like that. It's a great awareness, and I'm going to be aware of that and going into the weekend. And I'm just glad I got the legs moving. I feel better, bringing some confidence back in myself, and just really excited to go into the weekend. And it's just great to have a different atmosphere with everyone today, and had a lot of fun racing. So I'm excited.
So are we. Thank you, Kayla. And the final words of the day go to the man with the bike throw, the destroyer, the metronome, the man with every single nickname on earth. Sebastian, was it good to be on today practicing, learning the tracks? We saw you crash a few times. Is that something you're going to make a note of?
My legs felt like those peeps, so whatever these are. I have no expectations for the weekend.
Well, we always know how Sebastian usually races when that is the case. Last question, what's the kit of choice today? What is this amazing, colorful choice?
It's a German pro-continental team in the 90s with a sausage manufacturer as sponsor.
Wow. Sebastian,
Ursula.
you never seem to amaze. You never stop being awesome. Thank you, Sebastian. Good luck recovering, and we'll see you join us on Thursday, hopefully, for some more practice. But we've got the highlights of the day here on the screen, the two zones. And joining me with the highlights here, I think it's only fair because Frank has been with me for so long. Frank, we talk all about this snacks and stuff, but then Sebastian is riding in a kit sponsored by sausages.
That's awesome. Perfect for CVRcade. And I know we can't talk to him either because I like sausage as well. So there you go. Chips, dips, sausage, and steak are what I will be dreaming about for the remainder of the week. Oddly, probably mostly the chips. That says something horrible about my eating style.
Well, I just love that everybody came out today and they really engaged in it. Sebastian, towards the end, he was, showing it on the screen. But when all is said and done, Frank, like, you're one who really believes in this, but every action has a consequence. And the reaction to the blocking from Timothy and Quinton from all of this, that could come back and be very vital when you get into the finals.
Oh, absolutely. I think that for sure. I was saying, I thought, it was all good fun out here, but people are kind of getting in different people's heads. And, the brain's not going to forget that, right? The subconscious is not going to forget that. And when you're under high pressure and you're under high anxiety this weekend, your brain's going to remember that. Even if you're just right next to the person and they're not doing anything, it's going to increase your anxiety. And then it's going to make you want to do something to release a little bit of that pressure and to release a little bit of that anxiety. And so maybe we'll see Casey block, initiating blocks for the first time. But I definitely think that's going to increase the pressure and anxiety this weekend. And so this was great fun today, but it also sets us up for some spectacular racing this weekend.
And also when we look at the tracks, because the main goal of the day was to get a feel of the tracks with the wind settings, with the power-ups. I think a lot of lessons were learned, especially Velocity Vixen, Frank, because Velocity, they've been so good as a unit, as a team, but they just lack that tiny bit. What are they missing? What's going to take them from like the 5th, 6th, 7th up until like the final 4?
I think that's just developing. I think that's just time. You saw Carl, you saw Beth up at the front in the previous zone, and they're coming into their own. And I think one of the things that you're seeing happening, and I've said this for a long time, is As you get a little bit more positive, like at first you think the negative racing, right, what Beth would call the defensive racing, but I don't really see it as defensive, right? I agree with her that positive is offensive, right? But the negative racing for me isn't just defensive, right? Like for me, defensive would be I sit on the front and maybe I don't pull as hard, but I don't actively, brake check somebody or do something like that, right? That's where it really gets more negative. And we've always discussed in cycling how even just sitting on the front and not pulling hard is more of a negative racing. And wow, I was going to say something brilliant, but it's completely gone.
Probably the sausages, the chips, the dips, the peeps,
oh,
the
you are
Skeever.
Now this is cruel. This is really cruel. You have no idea how hungry I am at the moment, and I don't even know. Like I'm gonna try and go take a nap or something to forget about all of this.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna wake up to CVRcade Riders Forum full of post-race pictures. I can't wait to see from all around the community after this.
Well, but back to Velocity Vixen. So I think what'll happen is I think they've been concentrating a little bit too much on negative racing, and they're starting to get more positive. We saw that today, and I think that'll lead to some breakout performances. I think the storyline there is, will that happen this weekend, or will it take them into next season to learn to race a little bit more positively? I think if you get the right mix, and I think Cycling Hub has a pretty good mix in there of sort of the positive and the negative for the most effect. I think that you're going to see Velocity Vixen, really start to shine. And then I expect Cognition to be on fire this weekend.
We didn't have Moti.
That'll be very interesting.
Moti didn't make the bracketed session tournament. Despite being first seed overall, he valued his family time and his vacation over racing it, which we all respect. But you'd assume that when he comes back, he is gonna be angry. He's gonna be competitive, and he's gonna deep down wanting to take this one.
Yeah, I think as long as I see him on the platform tonight and going hard and making sure that he's firing up the engines again, he should be really well rested and a force to be reckoned with this weekend.
We see Kayla's crash once more there. It was good to see Kayla smiling, but Quinton is it's an interesting study case today because he, unbeatable he looked in the tournament. Today opts not to be on stream. He wins the first race, but we don't quite know how he's feeling. We can't see him. We can't talk to him. This is strange.
Yeah, well, I think that Quentin's making the right choice. We'd love to have him on stream, and we look forward to that in the future. But I think sometimes you just need to, wake up, make it another day, and have as few distractions as possible. And we see a lot of personalities coming through on stream, which I think some of these people are going to be huge as this develops and grows over time. And he'll be back. Quentin's fun to watch because he can go deep into the hurt locker and turn himself inside out. But I think it's the right choice. You need to make sure you're mentally back in preparation for this weekend.
Now we see Timothy, who seems to have recovered fully. He's back and he is himself. You gotta admire his ability to taunt. I just love that he's the only one that really goes out of his way to say, oh, look, I can do this to you.
Well, I love the little trash-talking interplay that we're getting between Casey and Timothy, and Casey being sort of animated on stream, wanting other people, to work with him. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Casey, really developing more and more teamwork. As I've said in the past, I raced with Casey on a different platform, and he's the consummate teammate. And I think that's partly what you see. He wants other people to work with him. He knows the advantages that accrue from that, and that will be happening. And you also, sort of see the hunger developing in Casey. Third isn't good enough. Well, there's only 2 spots above third, right? So Casey will start to bring his considerable skills and talents, and I think teammates to bear on, moving up a step or two on the podium.
It's incredible what Casey has achieved, considering he's the only one of like the top ones in the bracketed tournament that didn't have a solid team behind him. He had Christian Weidman out on track, but that was about it. There was just him up there. Imagine what he could do if he had a solid team around him. I can only imagine what his inbox is like as well, with CCC, Cognition, Cycling Up CVR, everyone saying, Casey, do you want to wear our jersey? We would love to have you on, as he flexes the guns one more time. I'm impressed how toned Casey is, but he is, of course, a triathlete. But Frank, that's all she wrote for us today here. I hope everybody has enjoyed it. It's been a bit different, but it's been fun as always. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click that follow button down below. There's also a subscription button. I believe we're up to about 7 subscribers. So if you want to join in, if you want to support everybody here at CVRcade and the CVRcade World Cup, you can do so. But we'll be back on Thursday with more practice races. Some of these races will come back. New ones will come on the screen. But it's all about Saturday and Sunday, the grand finale. 9 weeks of racing. 9 weeks! And then some peep eating, some chips, some sausage, some, etc. in there in between. But nonetheless, somebody will win $5,000 this weekend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.